Friday, what is up, Rotogrinders? 5 o'clock on the East Coast. They're taking y'all straight up the lock. Big boy slate, not messing around. 13-gamer, plethora of pitchers. We got Coors Field. This slate has everything. Three-man booth. It's Chief Justice. It's Will. You know him from such things as the Prop Shop. What's up, Will? How are things in your world? You were grinding some soccer earlier today in the Prop Shop. You were letting me know. That was the Premier League, by the way. It's still going on. It's still a thing over there across the pond. How are things there, Will?
It's going well, man. Another day, another slate, and we're starting to get into the thick of it with MLB, and so I'm very excited to come on and hang out, talk a little bit of main slate, a little bit of shenanigans, hang out with my boy Kurt Dees, who I haven't seen physically. I think Kurt, about 3 years now? We're pushing 3 years?
Yeah, probably a couple of years for sure.
Yeah, man. We got to get something going at the Grindhouse. Yep. And I don't mean in Memphis. I'm talking about the RG headquarters. We got to get something going here so we can all link up for sure. But always glad to come on with Mr. Yahoo himself and talk a little bit. You too, Dean, but I'm saying I see you more than
that's okay. I'm old news.
Well, I mean, I'm interested to hear the prop man, the Chief's prop shop. So this is an honor as well, Chief, my man. Yeah, this slate's bananas, right? Like we got a lot of pitching.
Yeah.
Got a lot of different ways to go. We've got a lot of hitting. So it's this is like we haven't had one. I mean, yesterday was just a disaster, right? Like it's good. It's good to have one of these today.
Chopped it in half too, like 3 or 4 games the first half, 4 games, 3 games the second half. My best lineup last night was, and I talked about it at the show, and I just didn't do it enough, was playing Cease with stacking the Yankees with Cease.
I mean, Chop came on did a show with Blender that I watched, right? And Blender was talking theory, and Chop said, if you ever want to get your lineups to the top of the top as quick as possible, I think you said it. You brought it up, and then Chop seconded it, and he was saying you play the bats against your pitcher, and like it literally came out last night.
Yeah, like Cease had a wild line where he went like 4 innings and struck out 11, which can't strike out more than you can strike out 12. But he also gave up like 6 runs, and then of course the Yankees put up like a 7 or 8 spot in like the 8th inning, and they ended up putting like 14 or so in total. And Giancarlo Stanton, man, it's so weird, man. Stanton, he goes from looking like the absolute greatest hitter in the world to the worst player in baseball ever, like from one at bat to the next. I'm sure you've seen this before. He never does that when you roster him, right?
No, he does. And I did roster him last night,
okay.
And I've been on him. His StatCast stuff has actually been pretty good this season so far to start, and so I've been riding him, like in my like Yahoo. And when I know, like their 10-mans and stuff, when I know everybody's playing Judge, I've just been playing Stanton, and like that's been my differentiator.
Well, he's always like when he hits the ball, like he's always a top 2, top 3.
He's also
velocity, batted ball stuff's always awesome.
He's also but his plate discipline's been better. He's also notoriously streaky. I know hot streaks aren't real, all this crap stuff like that, but with like Stanton is like the streakiest hitter as it gets.
He is though. Like, bro, do you remember back when he was in Miami and everybody thought he was dead? And I mean, his price was just, I mean, this was God, we might be going on 4 years now, 4 or 5 years, but his price was getting down on DK in like the 3K range. Do you remember this? Like by chance?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with him with like every year. It's like he strikes out a ton. He goes through these awful straight stretches, and then he catches fire.
Well, those wipeout sliders, like when there's a certain time where like you throw him one wipeout slider, it's breaking away, and he's like 3 feet away from it, and like it's strike one, and you're like, okay, they're just gonna throw 2 more of those, and he's gonna strike out, and that's that. And like that's exactly what happens. Like, yeah, I don't.
I mean, there's nothing worse with Stanton up there with an 0-2 count.
Oh,
it's
you know exactly what pitch is coming.
You can already turn it. You can already like click to the next game, or if you're going through or whatever.
I just pulled up the baseball savant, Statcast stuff. Barrels or plate appearances, 17.2%. John Carl, number 1 in the league. Number 2 in the league, of course, is Aaron Judge. Number 3, Mike Trout. No surprise. Rowdy Tellez, number 4. There you go. Shout out Rowdy. Jordan Alvarez.
When are we gonna do the Rowdy Tellez MVP conversation? When does that start?
That's never happening. Where he's not getting. You're getting out of hand. I thought you were doing Rowdy power rankings or something like that, and we'll have a conversation versus Roddy Piper or something like that. But
what was you did the James yesterday? Is that
Yeah, the James Harden power rankings. I almost went with the Rivers. I could have went with Rivers, but there wasn't. We got Joan and Melissa, and then Doc. I don't know. Well, River Phoenix. I don't know if that would have counted. That there's no S.
I mean, this was Doc's coaching yesterday. He never he never changed up anything. He never did anything. His style was, you guys got to hang in this. You got to give it all you got. And that's it. That's all he said. He wasn't doing plays. He wasn't changing defenses. He wasn't doing anything.
Can I ask a stupid question though? Like, what should he have done differently? Like, what?
I don't know, but something. You hope with a guy to get to Doc's point that he does something. Try it all.
And especially like when there was no Embiid and people were like, oh, DeAndre Jordan. Of course, DeAndre Jordan is horrific in the year 2022. It doesn't work for the way basketball works these days, and he's obviously way past his prime. But what were they supposed to do? Like, there was really no good answer.
Paul Reed has like glimpses, like flashes like that, that he's good, but he's like he's really dumb on the court. Like he's out of position all the time. He doesn't know what to do, and he fouls. And he's got that triple J, fouling stuff. I mean, he can't stay on the floor, but.
Or just go smaller, right? And so you say, screw it.
I would have liked to see that more. Yeah.
Will, did you watch much? Are you partaking in the basketball these days?
Of course, man. Yeah, I watched the game. I think, and look, we can say what we want. Here's the bottom line: they lost by 9, and yet the score looked better than how the game looked, and I get that, right? But in order to go all the way, you're going to need all your stars healthy, and clearly Embiid was not healthy. Which is why you go out and get a second star like James Harden, who has consistently faltered in the playoffs. Here's why they lost the game. James Harden took 2 shots in the second half. I mean, come on. Like, you can't.
To be honest, they were done by then, and he gave up. He quit. Is what I think, and that's the James.
That may be true,
and that's James Harden for you. You know what I mean?
That may be true, but I mean, listen. If I'm going down, look, my Robin is hurt, which he's probably actually the Robin on this team. But my point is, at this point, he's Batman now. I'm going to go in the huddle. I'm going to say, Doc, look, I don't need you to drop any plays, Joel. I just need you to get out of the way and let me go to work here. If you want the ball, you just crash on in while I'm headed to the hole and we'll figure something out. But I've got to will us to a win. And here's why. I'm at home. I'm not on the road in Miami. I'm in Philly. There's no way I don't try to take over a game as the de facto other star of the team, game on the line. I would have taken 20. Hey, I'll go down taking 20 shots. I'll go down being a ball hog. But I'm not going out with 2 shots when the possible league MVP, which of course we know it's Jokic, but the other possible league MVP is out of commission and just trying to give it his all. No way I don't go out swinging.
Well, I like what he said, and the Embiid said, like in the post game, like he was kind of
always honest.
Always brutally honest, and people get after him for that. But I think it's a good quality, and he said it could for himself too. He's like, everyone was expecting Houston James Harden, but that's not what Harden is anymore. And, and he's like, there were times he could have been more aggressive, times I could have been more aggressive, times everyone could have been more aggressive. And I think that's the truth of it all, is that we were all waiting, obviously it went bad in Brooklyn. He came in out of shape and stuff like that originally. And that was a big thing. So, I don't know if he's hurt, if he's just old, if he's just, he's got that Iverson Westbrook. So like, this guy's been taking a beating forever. Like, that's been his game, is to like,
he's 32, but like he's an old 32.
Yeah. I mean, he's logged a lot of miles. I mean, I remember when he was a rookie on OKC. I mean, when it was Westbrook and Durant, and he was like the sixth man. Yeah. And
I remember that too.
And he was so nice. You could just see it. But yeah, man, I mean, he's taken a lot of beatings, I think, but maybe there'll be some off-season surgery we'll find out about or something, but regardless, he sucked.
Listen, I know we got to talk.
That doesn't matter. All that matters tonight is the Celtics are the balls. Seen that GIF, the GIF we're going on?
I don't think I've seen that GIF. I'm not aware of it, but yeah,
I tweet it like every game, so you obviously don't.
You never tweet. This is like
every single. I mean, it's there.
I'm going to pull up your Twitter now. Now I'm curious. I'm watching hockey. I'm watching the Hope of the Panthers knock out Washington tonight. That's what I'm most excited about. Watching some baseball as well, too, obviously. If you missed it, Yanni Diaz was scratched for Tampa. Colorado lineup is out. Of course, we have a Coors game going down tonight, KC and Coors. Jonathan Daza is your leadoff hitter. No Connor Joe. Jonathan Daza, Blackman, Crone, McMahon, Grichuk, Rogers, Diaz, Iglesias, and Hilliard. That's your starting nine. The Yankees lineup just came out. No Rizzo. It's DJ LeMahieu, Judge, Donaldson, Stanton, Torres, Gallo, Kenner, Falifa, Trevino, and Hicks batting ninth. Anything interesting otherwise as far as lineups? Well, they'll sprinkle in on throughout the show, and we'll discuss it, obviously. But, yeah, so we talked about it as far as this slate being loaded as far as the pitchers. You got Mad Max. You got Garrett Cole. Kevin Gausman, who's got, 46 strikeouts and 1 walk this season. Yu Darvish is good still, but not what he once was, I don't think. You got a rookie in this who I just learned about this guy today. He's only DK eligible, not FanDuel eligible. Chase Silseth, who's been awesome in the minors. Only 21 years old, turns 22 like in a week or so. He's super, super cheap. You need some savings on DK. And he's facing Oakland. The K's have been awesome. They actually, again, double A, different type of competition, obviously. But he is in that cavernous ballpark in Oakland, and he's kind of stretched out, too. I think he went like at least 5 or 6 in his last so many starts as well. Erod is also pretty cheap if you're looking to step down and save some salary. Max Fried is pitching. Yeah. There's a lot here. I don't really know how to sort through the top 3 as far as Scherzer versus Cole versus Gausman. I don't. They're all like 1A, 1B, 1C for me, Kirk. Do you have a definitive like this one is clearly the best?
I have a definitive one.
Okay, give it to me.
It's Kevin Gausman and Cheese said the same thing, and I totally agree. So it's first of all, for me, Gausman's been the most elite of the 3 this season so far, but that's not what it is for me. It's the matchup against the Rays. Rays strike out. One of their best contact hitters, Yandy Diaz, has been scratched out of the lineup. They're first in K percentage against right-handed pitching this season so far, 25.8%. They give a lot of strikeouts. So Gausman has been absolutely elite. He's has a 31.3% K percentage. This has given up barely any damage. 1 walk, right? Isn't that what it is on the season? 46
strikeouts, 1 walk, I believe. And I think that was in the last outing, if I'm not mistaken.
Just crazy.
Yeah.
So he's my number 1, and you know what? And Max is going to project better than him, Scherzer, because of the track record that we have with Scherzer. And so that's just going to lead to more Max ownership. And so even though Gausman is not a sneaky play by any stretch of the imagination, I do expect him to be lower owned than Max, and clearly the better play.
He's got Zunino to pick on as far as the strikeouts final if he'll play at IQ, 24.8% collectively starting out against righties. It is front loaded with the contact guys. Their top 3 contact guys are batting 1 through 3. Margot, Franco, Ramirez, but yeah, it falls off pretty quickly. And there's a ton of red if you fire up that old plate IQ. And like you said, Gausman has just been fabulous this year. Jump in here, Will. You got something?
No, not at all. I mean, I've been on, if you listen to the morning grind, you didn't have to, but Gausman was ranked number 1 for me since yesterday, and that hasn't changed at all. So I don't have to give you all the stuff, but I mean, if you need it, it's there right in your face. I mean, you pull up the numbers, and I said I wasn't going to talk about it too much, and then here I am talking about it. But I mean, if you pull up the numbers, man, Tampa Bay, Brandon Loud through walls. My gosh. I mean, he's got a 31% K rate. He's the number 1 play. Don't overthink this.
So has Mike Ford played in the majors this year much, or was he the guy called up for Kelenic, or he's just been kind of around for Seattle? I saw Kelenic.
Mike Ford, isn't that? That's like an ex-Yankee, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So he's played 1 game this season about 2 weeks ago, because I see him in the lineup for Seattle. I'm like, what is that? And I imagine he's spelling Kelenic, I guess.
Who else is in the line?
He was a power guy, but I think he also struck out a good bit.
Steven Souza is in the lineup somewhere tonight. One of these.
What team is Steven Souza on?
I don't know. Well, I gotta look. All I know is I remember it might be Seattle as well.
Steven Souza. Okay, he's a Mariner. Has he played much this year?
Yep, there he is.
I just not noticed.
Batting 8th.
Okay, good for him.
And Mike Ford. That's a big boost to Scherzer as well. I mean, they're both great plays.
Oh, he was called up. Souza was called up. Looks like this is his first game this season. I don't know what he was doing in the minors, but if you kind of stretch it back to last season, as far as Souza, how much plate appearances does he get? Is he not even? Oh, so okay. I'm looking at plate IQ. I'm not sure if you're looking at it there, Kirk. Is it 8 is not even registered? It's like it shows the batting order 1 through 7. There's no 8. I don't. We have to acknowledge the existence of Steven Souza at some point. I imagine that will get corrected. But yeah, I mean, Kelenic obviously was uber prospect, scuffling out the gates. And the other thing is that they're very contact heavy, like Frazier and France and Crawford and even like Jesse Winker, really good contact guys. We know Scherzer most vulnerable to lefty power. That's basically just Winker, right? Otherwise, there's really no lefty power in this team. Well, Ford.
It's Ford tough.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you that Ford strikes out with the best of them, and so does Steven Souza. I don't need to see plate IQ if he's in there or not. Those guys are two high strikeout bats.
That's where I just want to confirm that, but that's kind of where my brain is at as well too on that. And I'm sure we'll get a refresh. Does that change things for you, Will, as far as that lineup for Scherzer?
No.
Well, he's still really good too. Like that's like I guess I'm not really fighting. If I'm happy.
I'm really not that interested in Scherzer today, like overall, just because I think Gausman is a better play. So, like, if you're playing on FanDuel, I'm playing 0 Scherzer because I just think Gausman is better. If I'm on DK, Scherzer's in the mix, but and I'm just going to tell you straight up, I think the combo is Gausman, Fried, Gausman. Maybe Lyles. I don't like Lyles, but he's so cheap against a bad Detroit team. Like, I get it. But I think the combo is I think it's Gausman Fried. I think that's the best way to lock up a fair amount of points tonight, especially with all these cheap options.
Souza's 33 years old, by the way. Last season with the Dodgers last year. I know he's been on like Tampa. That's kind of where we knew him the most, I suppose. He had his best years. He had 30 homers in 2017. Good for Steven Souza. I didn't realize hit that many. But like
we had a juice ball then, and 17. You know what's a great combo?
What's that?
Juice and a juiced ball. Electric.
I see. Just it took me a second. I was going like Jamba, but no. Now I know where you're going with that.
And I do like Jamba Juice as well. Jamba Juice is good.
Hey, the triple threat right there. That's all. You hit them all.
I asked today on Twitter. Maybe you guys have an answer for it. It's kind of sort of baked in the Jamba Juice, but is there a chain restaurant or a fast food, one particular item that you will forever stand for? You don't care. This is it. This is the nuts. And like, I don't care if it's fast food. I don't care if it's like generic, whatever. Give me I got a lot of answers, a collection of answers. Roth, I believe, said the Bloomin' Onion from Outback. Did you happen to have an answer off the dome?
See, I was thinking more fast food, and like, so I mean, I'll stand by Chick-fil-A till the death.
Is there a particular item?
I mean, there's several, and they're all good. But
okay.
I mean, first of all, when you get the chicken sandwiches are amazing, and they're I'll go to my grave with that. And
okay.
and when you ever have a choice of a wedge fry or a regular fry,
Oh, come on.
a wedge fry is just so much better.
But you know what's better than a wedge fry is a crazy fry.
From where? Where's that?
Just in general, just like as if you're gonna power rank fries. Like waffle fries are better too. Is waffle and wedge? No, wedge is like
that's what I meant. Waffle fries. That's what I meant.
Wedge is like what I think what
KFC. Sorry. Yeah. Wedge potatoes.
KFC.
No.
Wedge is KFC.
Yeah. Wedge. No, wedge way down. I meant waffle.
But the wedge does have good flavor though. It's just not, it's I think you buy the wedge when you want the chicken and you got your flavor, right? If you want, I think like a good seasoned fry, like Arby's and Checkers are, kind of.
I can't speak to those personally.
Gotcha. Arby's and Checkers are similar.
I know they got the meats.
I think Checkers and Rallies are the same thing, depending on where you are in the country, by the way.
Yeah, they are exactly the same. That is correct.
Yeah. And now we have a bunch of takes now in the chat. What's up, chat? Chat's firing off their food takes as well. We appreciate that. Certainly give your baseball thoughts as well, too. We're happy to answer those, whatever's on your mind. I see some thoughts sprinkling in. Producer Steve is lurking. Producer Devin is lurking. Compiling those questions, going to throw them my way. Go ahead, complete your thought. This is important. Well, complete your thought as far as fries, Chief.
But yeah, I mean, those are the differences because some are seasoned, some are not. My favorite fast food restaurant is actually Hardee's, just because I grew up on it. But I like Hardee's burgers. Got a nice little mushroom and Swiss. They got the Frisco, of course. So yeah, I like Hardee's.
I just got to say the best take I've seen in chat, Scott, fries just need to be crispy. If we can just get all the fry makers in the world and just on one Zoom chat and just say, listen, however temperature, however long you're putting them down there for, just leave them an extra 30 seconds. Everybody an extra 30 seconds. We good?
Well,
we're good.
We got a contrarian take with Derek over here that says that he likes soggy fries.
Who likes soggy fries?
Derek, listen, I guess I somewhat like soggy fries because I want mine drenched in cheese.
Why would you want a soggy? You encourage a soggy fry?
Because
I'm out.
I mean, I'm putting cheese on mine, so they're going to get soggy anyway.
Why do you need cheese on your fries?
Because I like it. Just like why do you eat anything else, D? You like it.
Fair enough. Yeah, yellow cheese, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Okay, yeah. All right. I'm just out on yellow cheese. It's just I'm slowly fading away in this. I'm out on a lot of these things being thrown out there. Five Guys best fries. They also throw a pile in there.
Their fries are the worst part. I mean, I like their fries, and you can get the seasoned ones.
Too many.
But it's I wouldn't say they're great. I mean, the burgers are very good. I like Five Guys, but I wouldn't say it's the best of the best, but it's pretty good.
All right, DFS for life is telling us we're talking too much about food, not enough about baseball. Trust me, you got Dave Potts. Speaking of food, Dave Potts cheese is good. You got Kristi joining the show in about an hour-ish. Chief meteorologist Kevin Roth. They're going to go around the horn. We're going to go around the horn. We're going to do everything. Trust me. We're talking the slate, 13 gamer. We're here for almost 2 hours. We're going to knock it all out. Plenty of time. By the way, speaking of chief meteorologist Kevin Roth, what's free today? You're not going to like this, Kirk Dees. What's free is this Weather Edge tool. It's free for the people. If you're premium, you know what this is all about. If you're not premium, we reference it all the time. We talk about it all the time as far as how it just kind of dictates previous matchups. We'll go ahead and drop a link in chat for the people as well, too. If you're not aware, if you're not premium members, you can check it out for yourself. This is how this ballpark reacts as far as giving up runs, as far as giving up homers, as far as ERA historically, based on the weather, what it is precisely today. Similar games in a big old sample size. The bigger sample size, obviously, the better. But Kirk Dees, do you use the weather? I mean, it depends on the day, right? For me, it's just whatever's popping. If something's popping, sometimes it's not, but it's always interesting.
I just learned to look for the fire emoji the other day. So I did a scroll through, and it looked like we had back-to-back days of a fire emoji, and now they're gone. So
yeah, no more fire. That's it.
I mean, at this point in the season, I don't really look at this. I will start looking at this more. I do look at the weather, but it's more like I'm just looking for heat and humidity. So if I see something that's heat, because most of the time at this point in the season, I mean, all of these are going to have small samples. So I don't really look at it too much. But, if there are some with a bigger sample, I certainly like it. And when weather really starts cranking up here, as we start to get into more summer, I definitely use this tool all the time.
Kind of a weird one. A huge sample in Oakland, 255 games. 68 degrees, winds blowing out, center, right center, 9 miles per hour, 17% spike in homers in 255 games in a ballpark doesn't give a lot of home runs. That just seems like, I don't know if that's a big sample size. That's interesting. Just noting it, I suppose. Not a great hitter's ballpark, obviously. Anything else interesting? So Minnesota, this is the tricky one, right? Will, where it's only 28 games. Wind is blowing out, 76 degrees. We see a spike in home runs at 45%. I don't know how true that is or is not based upon what the weather is, but that's at least encouraging. Is that a big enough sample, though, 28 games?
Perhaps. I mean, here's the reason why I said that.
That was awesome.
Here's the reason why I say that. I typically operate in small sample sizes for MLB until things normalize. And it's not, I'm not trying to tell everybody to do what I do. I don't feel like it's right or wrong. It's just my approach. So typically, I go in, especially at the beginning of the season, 4 and 5 game sample sizes because I just want to see how the pitchers are doing, how they're going. Like even right now, if you talk to, and Cardi's one of my good friends in the industry, but if you talk to Cardi today, he's going to tell you we don't have enough sample size this season to start making real decisions. And I'll disagree, but it's just my approach, right? So when I'm looking at these teams, and I look at I'm going to go back to Tampa Bay for a second, just because that's the team we're talking about. And I'm looking at Brandon Lau. Well, Manny Margot only had 71 plate appearances. Ramirez only had 39. Choi's only had 56. But the bottom line is these guys are striking out a ton. And, I mean, Gausman's only pitched, about 5 or 6 games? Somewhere up in there, maybe 7, whatever it is. But it's not like he's pitched 20 games. And then if you compare it to last season, he's close. Looks like he's going to be a little bit better. Like last season, he was at a 29% K rating and 3.47 xFIP, and it's probably going to normalize. And then if you look at last season, guess what? The same 6 guys are still striking out a ton. So there's no need for me to sit here and think that suddenly Randy Arozarena is going to have a 10% K rate this season. It's not going to happen. So I'm just operating in small sample sizes. So what I'm saying is this. We kind of talked about streaks, and we talked about Giancarlo Stanton. Well, Stanton's going to operate in a 30% K rate for like 50 games. But he's going to go, and Kirk Dees knows this, and this is how you win all the money. There's going to be a 10 to 15 game window where he strikes out at like 10%. And that's the window where you want to play him every day, because those are the days where the ball is going out of the stadium every day almost. And so that's why I like to operate in small sample sizes, because I can catch something. And in Plate IQ, we just call it, you go to premium reports and it says recent trends. And so I use that report a lot because I want to know what's going on. And it also works the other way, right? I might be able to catch a pitcher that's about to slip before the field adjusts. So I can say, well, yeah, everybody's on Kevin Gausman today, but looks like we're going to have a little slippage here for a variety of reasons. I'm going to stack the Tampa Bay Rays, even though they've got the high K rates, and see what happens. So that's why it's 28 games good. It's good enough for me. Might not be good enough for everybody. I like small sample sizes that add up to the larger sample size.
Well, Cardi needs like 10 years, though, sample size to get a conclusion, right?
Well, we're not going to bust Cardi's balls there. He doesn't need 10. He doesn't need 10. But he needs a lot more than I do. And that's just my personal style of play. I like to operate in a lot of recent StatCast data so I can try to catch something before and adjust to it ahead of time.
I saw you mention it there in chat, Kirk D, so I might as well tell people they're not reading the chat. Garrett Cole, extreme hitters umpire. Gibson, extreme hitters umpire. Walker Bueller's throwing baseballs tonight. Clayton Kershaw, he was scratched. He's got, I think he's got a pelvis, so he can't throw baseballs tonight. And Vince Velasquez, also extreme hitters umpire. Are you surprised, Kirk Dees? I know you look at the Cardi, the bat, right? Are you surprised to see Scherzer, like, I don't want to say well ahead, but kind of well ahead of the field? I like Scherzer too. You said you like Gausman more. He's got Gausman behind him. There's several in the middle in between. And we haven't really talked about Cole so much, but as far as the big three, Scherzer, Gausman, Cole, that's kind of the way I presented them. The three of them kind of in their own tier today. But are you surprised that Scherzer is kind of separated himself? Because that, to me, is a little it's a bigger gap than I expected.
No, and I said that earlier, is what that we have the longest track record and the most consistency in K rates for Max Scherzer, so he's going to project the best. That's just the way it is. You know, Gausman's been a lot. I mean, he's took him a while to figure all this out, right? Like we've seen bad Gausman for many years, and then he was pretty good. You know, he really last year he came on pretty strong, but this season he just looks like a even much better. So we don't have the large sample for as large of a sample for Scherzer, so that doesn't surprise me at all. And that's my I know that Scherzer is going to be played more tonight for sure. And I said because he's going to pop in every optimizer.
Yeah, and the salaries are just so condensed on DK where it almost doesn't, you know, Scherzer's 10-4, Gausman 10K, Cole 9-6. You know, I think it was Chief to mention Max Fried. Somebody mentioned Max Fried, and like he's good, but you know, his K rate's obviously not as appealing. Darvish on the other side.
You got to operate in small sample sizes, Dean. You're gonna miss the boat today. See, you're looking at that season. But that season is cramped up into like 1 or 2 games early. Look at the last 4 games.
What's he going to do tonight? What's Free going to? How many is he going to lead the night in Ks? Am I missing?
No, but he's 9,300. He's not 11K.
Nobody's 11K. I love 11K, and I'm not paying.
I love Fried tonight.
He's really good. Yeah, okay. Well, go ahead.
I've got him number 4.
Well, okay. And so do I basically. Well, Erod's right there too when you consider salary. But yeah,
Cardi has Erod as the second highest projected pitcher, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's raw points. It's really close, but yeah,
so you know, most people predominantly use the bat. So I mean, it's going to be Scherzer Erod is going to be the mega chalk combo.
Ooh, and I'm nowhere near that. Like that's like a fade for me almost.
Why don't you first tell me about Fried. Why am I missing the boat? Why is this Fried's night tonight, Chief?
Well, I mean, look, the production has been there. The guy, I mean, he can go 7. If everything's rolling right, he could possibly go 8. I'm really not afraid of this Padres team. I mean, it's reasonable strikeouts. But if you look at the Padres. They've got 2 guys under 20%. 2. That's it. So, excuse me. Sorry. My bad. They've got 3 guys over 20. Everybody else is under. But he's done the same thing to the Dodgers, who don't really have a whole lot of strikeouts. Like he's done the same thing to the Mets. I think Fried is going to be fine. He's at home. I definitely think he's going to have a good night tonight. And the ISO rates on these guys, I mean, ball's going to be on the ground. I'm just not seeing where Fried's going to get blown up. And the recent production has been fantastic. Let me ask you this, Dean.
Yeah, but I agree with him. I don't think he gets blown up either. Right? And I think he's going to be fine. Also, I just don't know if he's going to be. I don't know if he's ending up in the podium, and we're not getting a huge discount. Is kind of my issue. And he doesn't. As the strikeouts are not elite, they're fine. But he doesn't give up home runs, essentially. Doesn't walk people. His fly ball rate's like 27% or so. So he does have the ability to go 7 or 8 and do that in 90 pitches. So go ahead.
Well, listen, I mean, he's got a couple things that are helping him. His swinging strike percentage is up to 13 versus 11 over the past 12. His O-swing percentage is up to 40% outside of 30. Like there are just things in here that suggests to me that he could go out and have a really nice night at what I consider to be a discount. And the reason we're getting them so cheap is because we have these other top tier arms. And yes, I can probably get away with playing Scherzer and Gausman, and I can play Gausman and Cole as well. But I actually think I trust Max Fried a little bit more than Garrett Cole in this spot. So Fried is just I think this is a really good spot for him.
Currently on DK, we have Scherzer at 38%, Gausman 33%, Cole 26%, Erod 24%. We'll talk about him in a second. And then a dip to Fried at 13%. And then the Silseth guy we'll talk about to some degree. If you need the salary savings, he looks like the best salary saver if you don't have the money to even spend on a guy like Erod. Fanduel wise, and of course this stuff will change, as far as the ownership, but that's kind of where we're at. an hour and a half before first pitch. Jump over to FanDuel, people playing over there. If you're curious, of course, the ownerships will be different because you only roster one. Therefore, it's going to total 100% as opposed to 200% ownership. Leading the way is Max again, which that's a little surprising because you're getting a pretty significant discount to Cole or Gausman. Max is 10.7, Cole's 10K, 9.8 for Gausman. Gausman 17, 18%, Cole around 14, Erod at 9. You're not getting the cheapie throwing against Oakland. He's not in the pool on FanDuel. Bueller is 9.6. He just Bueller's kind of like a worse version of Fried, I think, where he's just even more expensive and not this. He's a good pitcher.
This is so wrong.
What?
Sorry, I'm a big Bueller fan too. I mean, Bueller
he's good.
He can be great, and he will be. He just takes a little time to get into his groove. And I mean, I hate when people like saying like he's not a strikeout pitcher. He's got electric stuff that he certainly can be very capable of striking people out. And let me piggyback my boy Chief here with Fried. I mean, so if you look at his first 2 starts, he struggled mightily. I don't even count those. Throw those out, right? Took him a little while to get going. He's got a new pitch this season, which has just in his last, he only threw it 11 times in his last game, but he got a 50% swinging strike rate on it. His slider is looking really strong. He's got Fried has sneaky strikeout upside. I know, but on top of that, he's at 55% ground balls, and he got 8 strikeouts against Dodgers already this season. And you're telling me he can't strike people out? And I'm
not saying he can't, but the math is the math. He's less likely to strike out 9 or 10 than Scherzer, than Cole. That's facts. Can he do it? Of course he can.
Sure. If you're counting we could cherry pick some of his starts and make his stats look incredible.
Let's take them all. Well, I mean, I don't understand. You want to look at his 2 or 3 good starts as far as case and forget the rest?
I care about what is the potential, right? Yeah. Like not the mean or the median outcome.
It's not higher than Scherzer's potential. It's not higher than Cole's potential.
It can be. There's a chance.
Yes, and
he could and I'll play that game, and I'll take the 93. Pay 9,300 instead of 10.4 savings, and Scherzer can get blown up anytime. I mean, it's
of course. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I speak in likelihoods, right? Sometimes, and absolutely, I think, and then Bueller's a guy that can go. We saw him drop I think a CGSO earlier in the season, but 21% K rate on the season. That's not elite. It just isn't. He's a great pitcher. He's probably from a skill set, like top 15, top 10 pitcher in the league. I don't off the top of the head.
Let's do this, Dean. Yeah. What do you think the K prop is on Garrett Cole today?
I bet you it's higher than Fried.
What do you think it is?
7.
Okay. You're spot on. What do you think it is for Scherzer?
7.5.
Spot on. What do you think it is? What do you think it is for Gausman?
Oh, 7.
Spot on. What do you think?
How many showcase showdowns am I going to win?
No. What do you think it is for Max Fried?
6.5.
Exactly. So and it's 5. No, but listen, and it's 5, and I'm telling you the books are wrong. Here's my point. No, but Dean, here's the point I'm trying to make. Kirkwood, I know you'll back me up, and then we'll move. So you're telling me you felt like the line difference was 1K, and you don't think it's worth the $1,400 discount? I think it is.
And
that's the point I'm trying to make.
And the ownership discount.
I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm not saying.
I know what you mean, Dean. I know what you mean. But what I'm saying, that's why I'm making the case, and I think Kirk Dees is making the case, that Fried is a good play today. You're telling me the difference in the line should be 1K, basically 1K or a half K, right? Give or take. And we're getting a massive discount. And as Kirk Dees has already put out another a beautiful point, an ownership discount. And I'm going to be able to pay up for maybe one extra. Maybe this gets me Jose Ramirez or something. I don't know, as an example. So that's what I'm saying. I think that's the value of Fried. It's not that I think he's got Max Scherzer K stuff on a regular basis, although he's younger and it could come. I'm talking about today. I think Fried, I think he's a fantastic.
I like that presentation. I like that sales pitch so much better than the way it was packaged. The way it was packaged in my head, what I was hearing is that this guy can get, is like just as likely to strike out this many people as Scherzer and is Cole. That's just not the case. He can, absolutely. Of course he can. But like track record suggests otherwise. Hey, let's talk about, unless you have anything else here, Curtis, you feel free to follow that point. But the Erod thing.
The only other thing I have is I'm in on Logan Webb too, but you can go on to and nobody's going to play Logan Webb tonight, but
people aren't, and I'm not actively picking on Webb, but I'm probably not playing him. Are you now? You're kind of a one lineup guy. Do you think you're going to end up on him, or do you just think he's good and that's that? You might not have.
No, so I'm speaking when I break down slates, it's like I'm doing it like I was going to be playing max enter tonight, but I don't have the time to max enter when I do shows. So it's like I'll give you like what my actual 2 plays are going to be, but when on the small stuff, but I do it through the sense like if I was max entering tonight, these are who my plays would be. I break it down the same way that I would normally.
Tell me why.
Don't have the time.
Tell me why he's in your. Where is he? Like, did you do?
I mean, his strikeouts have been gone, completely gone. But they're going to come back, and the matchup stinks too. It's not the greatest strikeout matchup, but he has that he has that ability to pitch a freaking 8-inning gem, and to get more strikeouts than we're expecting. And he's like this is an ace. He's an ace, and he will be an ace, and he will continue to get better. So these are the guys that I like to play when nobody else is playing them. But like, let's go to Erod because that was the main way, because he's projected number 2.
I think he's in the wrong slate. That's I like Webb too. I think he's in the wrong slate. It's kind of my problem.
Yep, I get it, but I think it might be the right. If he's going to be low owned, it's the right slate.
So is Erod going to be super popular? Because I think he will be, and our projections are as an SB2. I'll tell you one thing that's kind of alarming, and it's funny you mentioned Cardi, and I don't think Cardi's a big believer in swinging strikes. Do you see Erod swinging strikes this year? It's terrible. One of the worst, and I kind of rank them all by the slate. The only pitcher on this slate that has a lower swinging strike rate than Erod is Zach Greinke. That's not good. 6.3% as far as his Ks this season, 23. He's never been this monster K guy, but is that small sample stuff, or is that just sort of a weird number? What's going on there, Curtis?
All right, so I got to take. So he's first, and I know him well, right? And it takes him a little bit to get going too. And this is a guy who's been notoriously unlucky and also notoriously a head case who ends up prolonging a lot of innings out there, and so he has bad outings that will just like crush his stats, like because it'll just be worthless. But he also has some good outings in him. And the thing with him, so he's operating right now at a 23% K percentage, like you said, which is low for him. If you just even include last season, it would be 26.7%. He's also had a really tough matchups to start the season. So, I can't really call Boston, my Red Sox, a really tough matchup at this point. But he's had the White Sox, the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Twins, at the Dodgers, at Houston. So these are all pretty tough matchups, and some much tougher than others, as Houston and the Dodgers. And he did look pretty darn good in his last one against Houston, where he got he had a 29% called strike whiffs, and his stuff was working, and he's got this really good changeup when it's good. And when it's not working, he's really limited. So I'm on. I wish there was more competition in his price range tonight, because a chalky Erod doesn't sit right with me. But then again, he's playing Baltimore, and Baltimore strikes out at an extremely high rate. They're 7th in K percentage versus lefties on the season, 24.5%, but that's small. We know that they're going to strike out a lot. And Mountcastle is out of there. That's one of their best bats. He just hit the IR today, I believe. And it's a really good spot for him. So I think he's like coming on. I think it was really encouraging in his last start. So it makes perfect sense. The only thing I'm wrestling with is the chalkiness.
What about the guys around him, by the way? Because you mentioned Valdez at 8.2K. Again, not another guy. It's a big strikeout guy, but he should be okay. He should be fine today. Who else is interesting there? Sonny Gray just coming back from that injury. They didn't really let him fully go. Coming back from the IL, what do you throw, 70 pitches or something? 66. So probably not a full allotment today, but it's kind of priced for that 6.4K. And is that the problem where everybody's going to land on Erod just because there's not a lot around him? Is that kind of
there's nothing around him. There's Dane Dunning, who doesn't go long, right? Who could be good. There's Sonny Gray, who's coming back and is probably not going to go long. And we haven't really seen much elite stuff out of him, although I think that he'll probably, get better. There's Jordan Hicks, who's not going to go along. There's Dalton Jeffries, who's not going to go along. So nobody has this 100-pitch upside with a good track record, a good history against the Orioles. And here's a little stupid narrative piece that I always used to play. And I used to smash with Erod. I used to take Erod's all in against the Orioles. That was his first team. And, when they traded him over
PVT, pitcher versus team.
Yes. And he used to smash them. And don't take that for anything. That means nothing. But there is that little narrative. He always likes to play against his old squad.
He faced them a lot in Boston.
Yep.
By the way, just want to know.
I think he had a no hitter against them. I think, but I don't.
He has a no hitter. I don't remember.
I don't know. Maybe it may have been broken up in the 9th or something. But I remember one specifically because just
a note, Curtis, the Dunning thing has changed. They used to not they had kid gloves on him for a while, but they've unleashed him. Last time out, 6 innings, 100 pitches. Time before that, 7 2/3, 98 pitches.
I totally missed that.
Yeah, that used to be a thing though, where Dunning would come out in the 4th, and even though he's pitching well.
Yeah, he
got 100 pitches against the Yankees. So I have notes and I had it written down, and I totally forgot that.
Well, here's what I will say: Dane Dunning is a guy in terms of props that I've been on because he's been really low because of his previous history, and the books have been a little slow to adjust. Even some of his K stuff. So I'm just putting that out there for anybody that's into the books. Dunning coming in at 4.5 Ks with a little bit longer leash, that's right on the edge. But I think you start taking overs until he lets you down. Seriously.
What is his over under for outs? You have that? You have that?
Man, let me see. I can grab it if they've got. But I think they're starting to bump him up now.
They're starting to figure it out.
Yeah, he's at 16.5, and he was around 14.5 most nights. I've even gotten him as low as 13.5. But he's at 16.5 now because he's starting to ramp up. I'm still
5 2/3. He's got to go 5 2/3, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. I'm still a little leery at 16.5 because he's young and he could essentially run his pitch count up in 5 innings. So at 16.5, I'm probably kind of not going there. But in terms of the Ks, he's at 4.5 today, and I definitely I'm in on some 4.5 K overs even against Boston.
So I like Dane Dunning would be the logical pivot. And although I do think the Red Sox are starting to come alive a little bit, and
I can get down with that for sure.
If it was less than a week ago, I'd be definitely throw everything in on against the Red Sox here in this spot. But they're showing signs of life here, so I'd be a little bit. I'll be a little bit worried.
Closed roof tonight in Texas for what it's worth. Will, what are your thoughts on it? I threw out some names. Gray, I think just because he's cheap on DK, but I don't know if you need to go there. Erod, and what's your Erod takes?
I think the spot's fantastic, man. It's 72. It's just a good spot. I still like a little bit of Trey Mancini just because I think he's a little bit too cheap. But all in all, this is a great spot for Erod. God, it feels like he should have another 8 Ks in this game. Just don't go out there and run the pitch count up too early. And even if he does, he can still get 8 Ks in 5 innings. It's a good spot for Erod, period.
2 lefties, 7 righties. Mullins and Odor are the lefties. Bannon, Chirinos, Owings close out that lineup. Yeah.
Dude, there's only one batter with a sub 20% K percentage.
That's this season. I'm on the 2020. You're looking at 2022?
No, 2021 to 2022.
Okay. Yeah. So you're looking at Nevin, and that's a small sample on Nevin. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Just a quick glance at lineup HQ.
Yeah. It makes sense why he is the cheapie. Give me the final word here, Kirk Dees, as far as pitching.
So Gausman's my number one. Max, yeah, I'm there with it. I mean, the matchup looks a lot better after seeing that lineup because there's just free Ks down there. I'm kind of out on Cole. I think he's coming along. You know, he's looked really good, especially like his last three in a row. But I just don't need it. I've already professed my love for Max Fried and Logan Webb. I'm gonna play these guys when people aren't playing them. So that's where I'd be going tonight. And then Erod is the logical comparison, but I think the logical cheap guy to pair with him. But I worry about the chalkiness, but I honestly believe that he's gonna crush tonight. I do. I think he's gonna crush tonight. I think this chalk is gonna hit with Erod. And did we talk about Silseth at all?
We kind of mentioned him in passing. I guess it's how necessary is he is kind of the question, right? And like he was awesome in Double-A, still really, really young, just 21. I think he turns 22 next week, facing a terrible lineup in Oakland. And actually the control was pretty good in the minors, not amazing, but pretty good. And I think he was pretty well stretched out.
So you're right. Now, ranked number 12 is the Angels prospect. So there's some pedigree there for him. Has gone 6 innings with at least 7 Ks in each of his last 3 starts in Double-A. 88 pitches in his last start. So like you said, so everything, I just mirrored everything you did. So he is stretched out. And, you know, the problem is that these things can go a million different ways. This kid could melt on the mound and, you know, up there tonight. So I will definitely recommend, I think I'm on board with him, and I think you should be playing some of him, but I also think you should be stacking Oakland too.
Oof. Yeah. I mean, how many lineups do you make until you finally get to an Oakland stack?
I don't think that many.
Like in your first 10, you're stacking
Doesn't
Oakland?
have to, you just either a 3-man, 4-man, or 5-man.
Okay.
Yeah, if I was playing 20 max tonight, I definitely would have at least 1, but probably 2.
We're looking at 10% ownership on DK for what it's worth. And again, he's not available on FanDuel. Chief, what do you have? Final word as far as your pitching thoughts?
Gausman, Fried, definitely like Erod. I think if you're going all the way cheap, you're not going to like this, but I think it's either Freeland or Lyles. I guess
still like it in chat. He likes Freeland's.
Silseth is, I guess, somebody you kind of taking a chance on because we don't really know how it's going to go. You know what I mean? Like they could say, oh, he's going to pitch 4 innings and not tell us. But yeah, I think that's the way I would go. I don't hate Dunning, but if I had to choose between him and Erod, I think I'm going up to Erod.
Man, we're going to have a conversation about the Royals. Like they've been rough this year so far. Obviously they're in Coors Field, getting the Coors bump. They're pretty contact heavy. Like that's the nicest thing you could say about them, but the power is just zaps. It's not been there at all season. If we stretch it back to the last 2 years, versus left-handers, the only guy with any power is Sal Perez, and that's going to be probably the most popular Royal, I think. Everybody else is in the red, the old plate IQ firing off against the left-handers. And yeah, not a lot of Ks necessarily. Carlos Santana's back tonight. And, he's got that warning track power, but he's going to make contact, 10% strikeouts versus lefties. Rivera in a small sample's got, as contact heavy. We know about Nicky Lopez. Maybe he gets a double tonight in Coors Field, batting 9th. That's a good segue, Kirk Dees, as far as stacks. I see people in chat want to know our favorite stacks. This Coors game doesn't feel like an amazing Coors game, but it clearly has the biggest total on the board, obviously. You got the Yankees absolutely, coming off a game where they absolutely smashed and show what they can do. They can do that any given game. The Dodgers, I think, are pretty well positioned against one of the weaker pitchers in the slate, and Kyle Gibson. Well, where are you at as far as stacks tonight? In Houston is what's kind of jumping out to me.
I mean, the ones that jump out are the Rockies, number 1 for me. Then the Yankees, the Astros, the Dodgers, the Royals. Then we got to get, we got to do a little digging to get some more, because those are all going to be somewhat chalky. But Colorado is the number 1 for me.
You like that lineup? Like Daza leading off? Does that change things up for you? Connor Joe's hitting the bench. I think otherwise it's pretty.
Daza has some pop. It makes it cheaper.
Is he going to be popular? Are people going to play Jonathan Daza? Like, he's going to hit the ball, Greinke's not striking. I'm curious. Well, fired up. What is Greinke's K prop tonight? Like 2.5?
2.5.
Yeah.
I mean, look, here's the thing. It's all about the spot, right? Like half the time he's going over that and half the time he's going under that. And then it's just about, okay, who's he facing today? And I mean, in Coors Field, like I gotta assume that he goes under, but you know, that's one of those ones I'm just kind of going to leave it alone all season.
No Joey Bart today. If you're considering doing the Bart man, he is out of the lineup. It's Kirk Casale. I just saw that popping up in the lineup HQ. I don't think it really matters, but I'm like, I just figured I'd note it. Oh, there's so many that got ruled out of our projections. How about yourself, Will? Is there a team that kind of separates it for you as far as your favorite stacks tonight? Again, 26 teams. It feels like a night where you're not really sure who it is, but somebody's going to put up 12, 13, 14 runs. Who do you have for me?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the least obvious teams, perhaps. I'm definitely in on some Arizona. And I'm actually kind of equally into the Cubs. I don't trust Zach Davies with a 10-foot pole. So I don't, the Cubs have been striking out, but I trust Davies way less than I trust the Cubs. And so, and I know he's had some okay starts. Like I get it. I get it, but I think this is one of those interesting games. The Dodgers aren't going to garner a whole lot of ownership tonight. Just because, well, wait a minute, I'm looking at Fanduel right now. At least on Fanduel, the Dodgers aren't going to garner a whole lot of ownership, and I think that's a mistake. I don't. Cal Gibson's good, but I mean the Dodgers are still one of the most elite offenses on the slate. So I'm more than willing to roll out late night hammer Dodgers at very low ownership. I'm mostly fake Coors anyway, so yeah. Coors is just getting the X button for me today for sure. I think Cleveland against Sonny Gray. You got to deal with the Juan Ramirez combo up top, where he's gonna, they may run him up for 20 pitches and 2 at bats. I like Cleveland. That's another one that's off the beaten path. Of course, I don't have to sell you on the Yankees. And yeah, those are my main ones. I probably would have been in on the Mets a little bit more, but they're struggling against lefties overall. Like I still think they score some runs, but I don't think they really dial it up. So that's really where I'm at. And after that, I'm kind of in one-off city.
According to the bat, looks like the roof is expected to be open tonight in Arizona for what it's worth. And maybe that's why I saw Eric in chat mention that number. Total apparently jumped from 8.5 to 9. Not two great offenses, but like two of the more attackable pitchers, and Drew Smyly and Zach Davies on this slate. Anything else that's of note worth talking about before we kind of dive in and break it down position by position? You know what? I do want to mention, Kirk Dees, and I believe you're prepared for this. The stat hero you went through and you picked somebody you like today as far as stat hero. You guys aren't aware. You're playing against the house. The house picks a team and you go ahead and pick a team to beat them head-to-head style. You're not playing against Kirk Dees. You're not playing against Will. You're not playing against myself. You're not playing against those in chat. You're playing against the house. There's pick'em style, and the house has a team. You got to beat that team, take them down. If you're interested, you want to learn more, check out Stat Hero. Use the promo code GRINDERS, GRINDERS, for a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. Feel free to check that out. And Kirk Dees, I believe, I'm told that you handpicked some winners. You got some winners today on Stat Hero?
Well, we did. The last time I did it, I believe we won, but they, normally I would do where we have to pick 2v2 versus their 2v2, and I would go off the bat projections, but they picked the best possible 2v2 lineup, so I didn't feel strongly there. So then I went to the other one, is the pick'em category, which is they have two players, and you just have to versus 2v2 is already picked, and you just have to pick the one which is going to score higher. So okay. I picked Jordan Alvarez and Jose Ramirez to outscore Alonso and Buxton.
Man, that's tough.
I like that.
Well, 4 good hitters, man. That's really hard.
If you go by bat projections, it's a pretty big difference there between the two. So if we keep doing this over time with the best projection system, and we can find spots like this, we should be able to profit overall.
You guys want to go around the horn, give our favorite players at each position?
Yes,
Say
sir.
yes, because that's what we're doing. I'll start with you. Will, I think you're going to want to play Sal Perez on Fanduel tonight because he's really, really cheap over there. You got to pay, full freight for him on DK, 5.3K. He has been scuffling of late from a home run perspective, from just a general perspective, I believe. But again, I was looking at his stuff, and it appears he's hitting the ball hard for what it's worth. Of course, he's jumping in the Coors. He's going to be, according to our projections, the highest owned catcher on DK, just 11%, which seems a little bit low, to be honest. As far as Fanduel, I imagine he's going to grab a ton of ownership over there because he's like 3.2 or 3.3. We'll start there, Will, as far as Perez, and then give me some catchers off the board.
I guess in terms of catcher, I really, on Fanduel, where it's kind of not necessary, I definitely get the Sal Perez love. I think that's incredible. I will say on DK, you can get Varsho as well. So I like him. You might be able to do that on can I get Varsho on FanDuel as well? Let me see. I can't remember.
Varsho not leading off because it's a lefty, so he's batting 6 tonight for what it's worth.
Oh, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. Still, because Smiley's not going to be in there the whole time. And I can still get him on FanDuel at 29. And then of course, I don't mind Contreras from the Cubs. We got him to 2-hole at 3,600, and I don't think anybody's going to be rushing to play him over Sal Pal today, especially when Sal Pal is getting a discount. It's crazy. So yeah, I don't really care too much about catcher, but that handful for sure I'm in on.
Cubs lineup just came out. Contreras batting 2nd, Ortega leading off, Happ 3rd, Wisdom, Rivas, Schwindel, Jehe, VR, Vargas. Dodger lineup, I believe, just dropped as well. Let's see if that's pretty standard. Betts, Freeman, Trey Turner, Muncy, Justin Turner, Bellinger. BBP is real. Bellinger is 5th homer versus Wheeler last night in like 13 at bats. Chris Taylor.
Chop just printing. Too easy for Chop.
We talked about in the show last night. I think he was like plus 550 or something like that to homer, Bellinger, and then I think it was the FanDuel Sportsbook. Somebody was talking about it in chat, and we were like, maybe, I don't know. Is Will Smith not playing? Yeah, no Will Smith. It's Barnes. No Will Smith baseball tonight. Lux 8th, Barnes 9th, and the Phillies just came out as well. Schwarber, Baum, Harper, Castellanos, Realmuto, Hoskins, Herrera, Camargo, and Stott. So, Giants, by the way, Wade, Belt, Flores, Peterson, Yaz, Estrada, Crawford, Gonzalez, and Casali. All right. Jordan Hicks expected to throw 70 to 75 pitches. I don't think we're going to run. Remember, he was going to be like crazy chalk a couple days ago. Was that yesterday? I think it was yesterday, right?
Yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. He was going to be like 80% owned. All right. What do you have, Curtis, as far as some catchers?
I like that Varsho call. Smiley's really bad against left-handers as well. So it's I don't even need to wait for the bullpen. And that's one of the most attackable bullpens as well. So I do like that. I love the Diamondbacks tonight in general as a stack. Yeah. I think Ketel Marte is the best player on the slate. We'll get to that one.
Wow. There you go.
It's Salvi, right? Even though he's let us down there, but he's in Coors. He's got the platoon. I mean, you play him. It's Varsho. It's Contreras. It's Diaz, overpriced here, batting 7th against Greinke, but I don't mind that. And Gary Sanchez is kind of like the affordable one to make, just kind of the mid-range one at 4,100, batting 5th against Savali, who has not looked very good. A lot of these Cleveland guys have not looked very, very good this season, and he's one of them. So I'm on board with that. Those are my favorite.
They had their game canceled due to COVID. I think that was mostly the coaches, but I did see that Naylor is not playing because of a COVID issue. If you're wondering why he's not in the lineup, he's unavailable today. I see our buddy Don Yeezy in the chat asking about Braves Contreras. How do you feel about Braves Contreras tonight, Curtis?
Didn't he like triple dong or it was at least 2?
He's been good, like when they gave him a chance so far this season.
No, I always like him. No one ever plays him. He'll be down in the order, but he's absolutely. I like that. But you can, and especially when people could play d'Arnaud as well tonight. So they're
both playing. I guess one's DHing.
Yep. So
interesting.
It's probably d'Arnaud DHing. So I like him.
Contreras is the DH, by the way, for what it's worth.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Anything else that's of note here as far as catcher, or shall we jump to first base? Let's jump to first base.
Sure.
What do you have here, Curtis, as far as your favorite first baseman this evening? There are Muncie's just got a really cheap price all over the place, 2.9K in Fanduel. Of course, he's versatile. You can throw him at multiple positions. I don't know if he's first base eligible in DK. I don't think DK pulled it in front of me. CJ Cron is very likely going to hit the ball against Greinke somewhere. Freeman against Gibson looks pretty solid. You got Brad Miller leading off versus Nick Pivetta. He's just really, really cheap, especially on DK. And Carlos Santana is back. Man, I don't want to say the mush play of the day is Carlos Santana, but I see him smashing the ball. He just doesn't have the ability to hit the ball over the fence anymore, it seems like. But yeah, I don't know what to do with that guy. Probably not.
Well, he's coming back from injury. He's batting cleanup. He's cheap. I'm gonna end up playing him. And,
how old is he? He's got to be like 35, right?
He's 36.
He's 74, but that's the guitarist.
This is the Dean. This is the Dean mush of the night. So I heard what I needed to hear.
I saw 74. I'm like, what? And no, that's the smooth guy. How did you know 36 off the dome? That was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
You said that with confidence.
It's right.
I know. I mean, how do you know that? That's kind of weird. You know that.
I know.
Yes.
Know these things.
All right. Can I throw somebody else at you, like Al Horford?
Dean, we don't have time for that.
You're just walking off.
And don't even get me started with my Celtics. I'm
Jason Tatum's 19.
I'm really uptight over here on pins and needles all day for this game. I mean, this game means like a lot to me tonight. So I need them to win. But CJ Cron is going to homer. I think I can say that pretty confidently. But he's expensive. Christian Walker is I told you I love the Diamondbacks there. Batting fourth, his Stackhouse numbers have been much better, much improved. Him and Pavin Smith, but Pavin can't hit a left-handed pitcher, but he's in the lineup, so I would stay with him. Christian Walker would be the guy that I'll be using. And then I feel like no one's going to play these San Francisco Giants tonight against Hicks. No. But Hicks has potential. He throws high heat, but like some of these hitters can hit high heat, and when you hit high heat with a barrel, it goes pretty far. So Brandon Belt is on my list if he's back in there again today, and then Pete Alonso, and then obviously Shohei if you can afford him.
Yeah, but speaking of nobody's playing a lot of stuff tonight. 13 gamer. I'm not terribly concerned about ownership. Nobody's playing Trout, nobody's playing Ohtani, nobody's playing your Giants. Just like play. I don't want to do the blender, play whatever you want, but that's kind of like where I'm at, Curtis. Ownership is, and I'm even looking at as far as the hitters. There's no crazy chalk spot, right? As far as I can tell. Am I missing something?
I think Coors is going to get chalk. I think the Royals are going to be very chalky because they're affordable.
They're so bad.
And they're in Coors. And you know what? They'll probably bust tonight, and then they'll probably score 15 runs tomorrow is usually how it works.
Like on a 4:00 solo slate, it's not the main.
Yeah.
Who knows when they're playing tomorrow? But yeah. What about yourself? As far as first baseman, who? I'm
just going to add Freddie Freeman. That's it.
Sure. Yeah. Rizzo not playing, by the way. If you were on the Yankees, if you missed that, he was. And here, speaking of nobody's playing, we currently are projecting Vladdy Guerrero for 1.1% ownership on DK. Just nobody's. You could always. I'm never disappointed. I'm never upset to get Vladdy. And Rasmussen's fine. The ballpark's not great, but if I get Vladdy, I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it. I'll move on and take my chances.
I don't think I mentioned this, but I think Kirk Dees did. God, we were talking about stats, but the Twins are for sure like on my list today. Like, I mean, just that might be my number 2 or 3 team, the Twins.
They are really cheap on DK if we got the lineup that we're expecting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Royce Lewis is 2.3K. Did we get – no, we didn't get the other guy. Where's the other rookie? Miranda's not playing baseball today? No Miranda. Okay. I guess like Gordon's playing instead of him or something like that. He's really cheap too, for what it's worth. But yeah, I like Miranda, the rookie, and Lewis is another guy who's supposed to be, a big time. Well, he is a prospect at this point. How do you play a Rise though? You play him in your stack?
Yeah, I absolutely will.
This is the season to play him.
Why is this? Oh, because nobody's homering.
Well, because he's going to. I mean,
like a double is like a nuts these days.
Yeah, if Byron Buxton gets on base, he's going to steal possibly. Arias hits him home with the double. Polanco singles Arias home. Max Kepler hits the dome. Done.
Does Arias have any career doubles? Has that ever happened?
I'm sure it has.
He's hit the cycle, Dean.
No, oh my gosh. Don't get me started. Don't trigger me with cycle talk. Oh my gosh. The greatest accomplishment ever in the history of baseball. Look at that single. All right. Keystone Magician, second base. Well, who's catching your eye?
Fanduel definitely playing Trey Turner, playing Owen Miller. Don't mind Whit Merrifield. I mean, look, I'm not playing Coors, but I'm also not an idiot. Like the Kansas City Royals are just incredibly cheap. I'm going to save my man Ketel Marte for Kirkwood because for some reason, man, I don't know. I got a good feeling here. You guys better get on Arizona. Me and Kirkwood are both on them seemingly pretty interestingly, if that makes any sense. Like, we're both really interested. I'm really interested in Arizona tonight. So I'll save that one for Kirk Dees. And then Ian Happ, I know you can get him in second and outfield. I like Ian Happ a lot today. So that's another guy that I am on.
But you want a narrative thing. I'm pretty sure Marcus Semien had like one of the longest streaks in baseball as far as consecutive game streak played. He didn't play yesterday. Huge contract in the offseason for Texas. He's been absolutely horrific. He has as many home runs as the three of us combined so far this season. It's been bad. But for that reason, he's 2.5K. He's back in the lineup tonight. 2.5 for Marcus Semien, who was like almost, in the all MVP conversation, I think last year in the American League. That's just a really, really cheap price. If you want, now you got a day off, got a breather. Any interest in Semien? This is again Kirk Dees. He's 2.5K.
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Nick Pivetta is all of the metrics for him are looking really bad. He had a good start in the last game, but you would think that would be with a really strong fastball. He was pitching 91 miles per hour, which is down from 93 to not. He wanted him to be around 94, 95 when he was having the most success of his career. Then he's been kind of settled in at 93, and now he was down to 91, and he had a good start. You attack him, and so I could see Semien breaking out. And also the Red Sox bullpen has been pretty bad. They're one of the attackable bullpens. They're seventh in xFIP as of right now on the season. So yeah, Texas, it's like they're not the best squad. I mean, they have potential and they have like some bats that can really break things open, but I mean, it also struggle. You can struggle to get some production with this team mightily a lot. They do have your boy Jonah Heim that you mushed one of the best mushes. He like hit 2 home runs. You were like the day you were like, for instance, Jonah Heim could be the highest scoring player on the slate, and he was the highest scoring player on the slate.
I didn't say that. That's not a victory lap. I'm not thinking any. I didn't really believe that could happen. But go ahead.
Yeah, it was hilarious when it happened. He's actually hitting really a lot of hard contact this season. He's up to number 6 lineup. But like Bamboo Brad, you can't stop this man. You can't stop Brad. Yeah, you can't stop Bamboo Brad at the top there. Hopefully Semien gets going. He's too good of a hitter for a long time to not. So I mean, he's probably going to decline. As he's getting
2,500 on FanDuel. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's
27, I think, on DK, which is even crazier. Is he 27 already?
He's 4K. He's 4K.
Oh, who am I thinking of? Never mind. We'll move on.
Anyway, but that stack looks pretty nice to me against my Red Sox. Miller, Semien, Seager, and then the Cuban Missile.
Is that Dallas Garcia?
Yes.
Does anybody else call him that besides you?
That's his official nickname, man.
By the way, Brad Miller is 2.6 on DK. I'm not out of my mind. That's what you're talking about, right?
I thought you said Semien was 2. I said Semien
Bamboo
was 4.
Brad Miller.
Yeah, he's 2.6. He's cheap as can be.
On DK, yeah. By the way, Marcus Semien has been one of the worst players in baseball this year. It's not like he's been unlucky. Yeah, I pulled up his hard hit percentage, 7th percentile. That's the best thing he has going for him. Well, barrel 12th percentile, exit velocity 6th percentile. It's bad. He's terrible. It's
been bad, but it's early, and he's got a long track record. They gave him the day off yesterday to
think about how terrible he's been.
He did. I heard he did a little hot yoga last night. He tweeted from it, and he said he's feeling focused. So let's go.
You ever do that hot yoga?
I don't like anything hot. Like I'd rather be cold than hot.
Absolutely.
And I don't do yoga. I mean, I'll show you my physique. It's we want me to do some poses but
Will hasn't seen you in 3 years. He probably thinks you're doing you got to do the hot yoga next time you see him.
Sure. What about you, Dean? Are you doing hot yoga?
No, I mean, I'm doing some stuff, and I've not delved into the world.
What's the some stuff?
I mean, huh? I will take a walk, basically.
I walk my dog. Yeah, I walk the dog's day every day.
I got to get back into playing racquetball. That was my forte, and that's racquetball court. Yeah.
You ever played pickleball?
No, I hear that's a thing that people do, but I hear that's fun. I'm aware of it. Didn't play it in like school either. Because I think it's is it a Northeast thing? Pickleball? I don't know. Is it now international? Not sure.
How about cucumber ball?
Chop said Steed's a natural at pickleball. That's what he just wrote.
He thinks my skill set would translate.
He said he'd be a natural.
I'm sure. Anything else of note at second, or shall we jump to third? Let's jump to third. Sure, why not? Kirky, do you have any favorite third baseman playing baseball tonight?
Bamboo Brad, Bobby Witt Jr., Josh Donaldson. Did he make the lineup? Let me see.
I believe so. Pretty sure he's in there.
Yeah, he's in there. Third. That's a better spot for him too. Yeah, Josh Donaldson, and then Ryan McMahon, Muncy. I mean, Devers. There's so many. It's like,
who's your favorite?
Jose Ramirez. I mean, Bamboo Brad is too cheap. So I told you, like, pick on Pavetta in this bullpen. So leading off for 2,600, he's the best, but he's going to be chalky. But how much? What do we expect him to be owned?
We're talking about Miller.
Yeah,
he's going to be much more owned on DK, in my estimation. We have him at 18.5%.
I mean, but that's fine.
It's a pretty big number for a 13-game slate.
But I don't really care. I mean, that's he's 2,600, and he's probably going to homer.
Yeah, if you're playing cash on DK, it's a really good chance he lands in your cash lineup. He's also, I think he qualifies at multiple positions, right? Isn't he?
Outfield, third base.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Will, what do you have as far as third?
Yeah, give me some Justin Turner. I don't even hate Gio Urshela tonight in my Minnesota stats. Like I think he's going to be okay. I like you, Darvish, but I don't hate Austin Riley either. So give me a little bit of Riley.
By the way, worth noting, we did kind of skip over DFS for life in chat talking about Ryan McMahon. I don't know. You ran off a bunch of guys, Kirk.
I think I said him. Yeah.
Okay, he was in the mix for you. Yeah, like for sure, McMahon's a strong play. He's in the heart of your Colorado stacks, most likely. Where did he end up in that lineup? Fifth, sixth, fourth. Oh, there you go. He jumped up to fourth. So yeah, Diaz, Blackman, Cron, McMahon, Grichuk, Rogers, Diaz, Iglesias, and then Hilliard. All right, let's talk about shortstop. Corey Seager, still too cheap in some places. Bobby Witt, pretty cheap, especially considering he's playing in Coors Field tonight. You could always play Trey Turner. Gleyber Torres is kind of a cheapie. Marcus Semien, also on Fanduel, is a shortstop eligible there, so you can throw him there. We haven't really talked about the Mets, just throwing it out there, like Lindor, Polar Bear. We didn't mention Alonso so much. I think The Mets are one of those teams that are kind of off the board. Nice ballpark jump for them as well. Josiah Gray is kind of a wonky history, like some good, some bad. But when he's bad, he's pretty rough. I don't know, Curtis. Have we neglected the Mets? I feel like they should be at least acknowledged.
I said Alonso. I like him. So I had written down like where are my spots tonight, and I have Mets versus Marco. Marco's a 257 ISO to righties, so power righty bats on the Mets. Houston lefties versus Gray are also up there. So those are my top two, actually.
Yeah. You know what? I got my Mets and Astros confused. The Astros are facing Gray and the Mets are facing Marco. Thank you for saying that. Chief, what do you have as far as shortstop?
I mean, kind of a lot of the guys we've talked about, actually. Like, some of these guys are transferred. I don't hate Lindor for what it's worth. I talked about Trey Turner already. He's a guy that I like. Brandon, hold on a second. Yeah, Ozzie Albies, not Albies, Jesus Christ. Dansby Swanson down here in the 9 spot, like, call me crazy. Darvish has been fine, but Dansby starting to swing it a little bit. I don't mind a little Swanson for the cheap one on Fanduel at 2,900. You could probably get a couple other guys you like as well, but I like him. I don't hate Gleyber Torres. I don't trust Vince Velasquez, so I'm not really worried about him. I can get Gio there. I can get Jorge Polanco there as well. I can get Ahmed Rosario against Gray, Sonny Gray, that is. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So those are the main guys. And then anybody else from the Diamondbacks and the Cubs game. I really like that game for what it's worth.
There's a question in chat. Donnie's saying, you guys off Houston? Cheese likes him. We haven't really talked about him so much. Well, the best thing about Houston is the outfield, I think, with Alvarez and Tucker, and that's kind of where we're at now. How do you feel about those guys? How do you feel about other outfielders? How do you feel about Houston in general, Curtis?
Is Curtis muted?
Sorry, my dog was there.
No worries.
So Houston is my top spot, the lefties against Gray, and then the Mets were my second. So I do like Houston for sure. I think Tucker and Jordan are two of the best players in the entire slate.
What about outfield in general? How do you feel about the outfielders? Any sort of like a favorite cheapie to kind of make stuff work for you?
Well, we've got Bamboo Brad if we need him. We've got Michael Taylor. We've got Hunter Dozier. These are all chalk ones. If you want to go,
Benintendi's another cheapie, I guess. Well, kind of cheap.
Yeah, I just can't see him hitting a lefty, but once the bullpen gets in, we'll see. But I mean, he's batting second, so I think Luplow hits a homer tonight, as he usually does against a lefty. But
he's been hitting.
Yeah. I mean, I really like the Diamondbacks today, and I'm going to say this again because I don't know what. Like I said, Ketel Marte is my favorite play on the entire slate. He's my number one.
Wow.
I also think Luplow is up there, but for the at-bats that he actually gets, hopefully they keep him in the game. But he's not overly priced there. Max Kepler is cheap. We kind of talked about Savali and some of these Cleveland guys kind of not being what we were used to so far this season. And Max Kepler, although he hasn't been great himself, he's 3,600. He's batting cleanup. This is a good Chiefs all over this spot. This is a good spot to get things going here tonight against a guy who doesn't miss a ton of bats. You know, he was better like a little while ago with strikeouts last season and before, but just has not shown it.
You mentioned Cheese. Cheese is coming in just a few minutes, along with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Anything weather-wise lurking out there, he's happy to knock it out for you. And Kristi fresh off taking down a FanDuel Live final. So congrats to her. I think it's in Chicago this year, if I'm not mistaken, the Live final for FanDuel. So she booked her ticket. What do you have, Chief, as far as some outfielders? Stanton, Judge, Joey Gallo, who's another of those guys is massively disappointing almost all the time, but he also has the ability to like hit 500-foot homers. Who do you like in the outfield?
I'm gonna go with some one-off guys. So Nelson Cruz hasn't been getting there, but I'm gonna roll with, hey, Nelson Cruz is still a lefty masher, right? Let's roll with that. Play him against Framber. We talked about Yordan Alvarez. I don't have to sell you on him. I don't have to sell you on Tucker. While I like Erod, like I don't hate Anthony Santander for what it's worth. We're gonna get down here to this Mets game, and you're looking outfield, and guess who's just sitting there? Starling Marte. Don't hate him. We've got in the Boston game, you've got JD against Dane. And so this is just me saying, hey, I'm hunting for home runs. On the flip side of that, I don't hate Cole Calhoun against Nick Pivetta for what it's worth on the cheap end. A guy that's either going to hit a fly ball out or is going out of the stadium. So that's where I'm there. In terms of the Yankees, I don't think I have to sell you on Stanton or Judge against Velasquez. Cleveland, you already know, like Stephen Kwan, like, come on, just get him in your stacks. We talked about Max Kepler, who is one of my favorites on the day. I actually like Kepler with Buxton today for what it is worth. Mike Trout, Shohei, you can go there. And then the game of the night for me, I'm as many Diamondbacks or Cubs as you can get in. I'm in on it. I don't care. And then, of course, the Dodgers outfield Bellinger. You can get a little Chris Taylor. You can get Mookie. I don't hate them at all.
All right, Kirk Dees, you mentioned bullpens earlier. There's a question they're asking that basically, where can I find tax bullpens or bullpens that are bad? It's kind of is there a bullpen tonight you think is worth picking on? You're making some assumptions, obviously, if you're thinking about the bullpen, but yeah, your thoughts on that?
Colorado's. So the Tigers would be one for sure, but Erod's going to be chalk. So, and also if you have faith in the Orioles actually being able to get it done, Boston bullpen is attackable. The Royals bullpen is attackable. Arizona's bullpen is the worst of them all. So those are the pens.
You're shorting this thing up for us in this Cubs Diamondbacks game, but nobody's going to listen to us. We already know this.
Yeah,
I'm not playing.
The problem
Cubs.
is, so
They're
it's
terrible.
good. The roof open is good, but the park itself is pretty bad for home runs. But that would be the only thing. And there's also the caliber of the teams. They're both, there's a lot of variance there. Like we're hoping that they can put it together and take advantage of these bad pitchers, but there's a good chance they also fail. But I'll be on them with you, Chief. Me and you, we're in.
I mean, I can't. In good
and
time.
To answer that question, I look at a lot of fan graphs for bullpen stuff for stats, and also like rankings preseason, and that like what their ranking level is for like talent level of the bullpen, and then it's kind of something you just kind of monitor all season.
Yeah, I kind of do the same thing as well. But like, again, like a lot of it's like every team has a couple arms that aren't necessarily great. And if the score is 11-2, you're probably going to see those poor arms. Correct. It doesn't matter how good the first five guys are, So
what I was curious, what we're missing out of plate IQ this year that
what's
I used
that?
to like? We don't have like the stolen base matchup, the stolen base rating. Remember we used to have that?
Oh yeah. That was incredible.
Do we have it? Is it there? Is it somewhere that I just can't find it anymore? Or is it?
It's every day I find something new that like I didn't know either where it went or where, like I thought we lost it, but like it just pops up elsewhere. But that's a good Jamino question because it's probably somewhere and we just don't know where it is. I will look at on Cardi's on the bat, and he'll show us like projections for stolen bases.
Hey, you can get it in a context report, Kirkwood. And I know what you're talking about because it used to be on the front page, but you can get it in the context report.
Premium reports.
Premium.
Yeah.
reports.
Sorry. Yeah. Premium reports, context report.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it'll give you a stolen base rating there.
I mean, yeah, Chief, thank you.
I knew it would be there someplace, but like they just got to move some stuff around.
But then you just gotta. It's the long way because you got to change the batter. Like you can't look at it all at once. You got to.
Yeah, I like that to take a quick glance when I'm trying to say like, oh, this is a good stolen base matchup. We've got a bunch of speed on the bases.
Yeah.
All right, Crunch Time crew's coming in. Before they come in, give me some homers. Throw out some predictions. Will, throw out 3 dudes, and then you answer a 3, Kirk Tees.
We got to pick 3 homers.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm giving you more bullets. You want to go 1 for 1? You want to call your shot? You want to just pick one guy?
Yeah, I'm good. Give me Ian Happ. Give me Max Kepler. Give me Freddie Freeman.
All right. See him and raise him, Kirk Tees.
Ketel Marte, Jordan Alvarez. I think I just have to choose that guy. I mean, the guy just goes yard every single time. And I got to pick a third. I'm just going to pick a name out of a hat and say Bamboo Brad does it again.
There you go. That's Brad Miller. All right, we're bringing in.
I should have said the Cuban Missile for Cheese.
I would appreciate that. I would have looked up who that was. It's fantastic. Seriously though, how good is Jordan Alvarez? It's unbelievable. I think he's bordering on becoming the best hitter in the league.
It's ridiculous. It's like you throw him anything to hit, and he's got the platoon. I mean, that thing's out.
Yeah.
Kevin Roth. It's the Fanduel Crunch Time, sponsored by, you guessed it, Fanduel. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Got Kristi. That voice you heard in the background, that was Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood. Roth, did you knock out one of those blooming onions today?
No, God, I haven't in so long. Like I don't know if I could handle it, but I would try.
Roth's got a kid now. He can't be turning blooming onions back.
Right. But so good. I mean, am I alone? Am I alone in that being just truly delicious?
You're not alone.
It's a little overrated.
I had it in high
That's
school.
an old R&B song, by the way.
You care to sing it?
You are not alone.
Oh, I do know that song. Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
I know you know
I'm
it.
here to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah, the bloomin' onion, it's just something about onion and beer together that just...
Is there beer in a bloomin' onion now? I don't think that's in there.
It's beer.
No, but you're eating it and then you're drinking and then you're like, oh, this drinking makes you want to eat more. This eating makes you want, and it's just all of a sudden a whole bloomin' onion and 15 beers are gone and you had yourself a hell of a day.
But I think the beer is the key. It's what's selling. It's not necessarily the bloomin' onion for you. Am I wrong in assuming that?
I think you're wrong in that. Yeah, I would. They're both. They just complement one another perfectly. Bloomin' onion, crappy beer.
So I asked on Twitter, Dave and Kristi, feel free if you have an answer, and obviously you'll knock out the baseball in a second. But before we step aside and get out of here, is there one like chain restaurant or fast food item that you will forever stand for? Like this is it. That's that. I know it's like a chain restaurant. I know it's fast food, but this is the meal. Well, Dave, you've been all around. I'm sure you got a good answer for the people.
Yeah, the one that some people will groan about, but I just love it every time is the Chili's. The Chili's chicken. You know,
quesadillas?
No, the chicken tenders.
Oh, like the crispy chicken. Yeah.
Listen, man,
those things are pretty bomb.
Yeah, and they call them something else too. What do they call those chicken
crispers?
Crispers.
Yeah.
Chicken crispers.
Chicken crispers.
Yes,
it's
pretty delicious.
and it comes with the corn on the cob and the fries. Yeah,
that's
the corn on the cob
really good now.
The corn
really
is so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
They got a habanero barbecue chicken's crisper or something now. Oh.
Yeah, they've added like you can get 3 or 4 different kinds of chicken crispers. I was just get the original, but yeah, you can get different kinds. Yep, Chili's. There you go.
Yeah, and they're hard out too. They've got deals getting people in. They're like, the two of you can each get 2 full meals, an appetizer, and dessert for $20 total.
Yeah,
how the hell is that possible? I don't know.
Dave, since we're on our Chili's kick, I must say that chocolate chip skillet cookie though.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. I mean, just heaven in your mouth.
Yep.
I'd say Kristi, are you with us? No, I think we've got some Kristi issues. Gotcha. Okay. Well, Kristi's working on getting her video fixed up, but Dina, you want to?
Yeah, we'll step aside and get out of here. Friday nights, big old slate, big boy slate, 13 gamer. Y'all have a lot to talk about, but thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Do not go anywhere because now is the Fanduel Crunch Time, sponsored by Fanduel. Joined, it's Kevin Roth, chief meteorologist. By the way, Roth, we were looking at your tool today, the weather tool, I should say. I should be specific. Kids are watching.
Yeah.
But that's free. If people don't know, your Weather Edge tool is free today if you're a non-premium. So let them know, let them be aware. I'm sure y'all can show it off on the screen. And we've already killed too much time, but have at it. Have a good slate. Win something tonight. Okay.
Good stuff as always by Mean Dean and the crew. And yes, this is it. This is the moment you've been waiting for. It is indeed crunch time. Yes. Sponsored by FanDuel. You're not supposed to be here anymore.
It's still the moment he's been waiting for.
Yes.
I know. I just want to hang around like an extra 30.
I appreciate you just throwing that enthusiasm. All right, later,
See
man.
you guys later. Yeah.
I do, for those who are new, I do want to talk about Weather Edge real fast, and then we'll get into the slate. We'll see if we can buy Kristi.
I'll pull it up on the screen share while you're.
So I built this tool over 2 years with a weather company, and basically the idea, what we did was, it's a product that forecasts for a game and then automatically pulls the stats from every single similar weather game since 2000 in that ballpark. So, okay, it's Wrigley and the winds are blowing out. We know that it's good hitting weather, but how good is it? How much does that compare to normal conditions? And it'll show a plus or minus. I think maybe Minnesota the numbers are really inflated.
Yeah.
Today.
Let's go to that.
So you can look, and it's not some arbitrary projection.
So there you go. You see the 45% boost to home runs in that Minnesota game.
So that literally means that in games with similar weather, and I think in Minnesota there was something like a 30-game sample size. If
28 games,
28. In those 28 games, we've seen 40% more home runs in those 28 games with similar weather as we're seeing tonight, as compared to what we've seen just in general in all games since 2000 in Minnesota. It's pretty cool. It's not perfect. If there's a great pitcher on the mound for both teams, then you probably won't see a 40% increase in home runs. But just as a weather tool, I think it's really super useful, and I'm proud of it. So I hope you guys like it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I definitely go there every day.
There you go. That's it. If Cheese is going there, that's my number one selling point. People that know what they're doing at least look at it every day. And that makes me happy. Okay, let's talk about the show here. This is Crunch Time, sponsored by FanDuel. Check out the FanDuel 125K Friday MLB Raleigh contest. 25K to first, $7.77 to enter. Also sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. New users get a risk-free bet up to $1K, and to get that bonus after their first-time bet. So that is some good stuff there. Also good stuff. We are joined by the one and only Dave Potts, a.k.a. Cheeseisgood. How are you, Cheese?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, it's a great slate. We got a lot of everything. When I first opened it up, I saw all the pitching, and I kind of didn't love the offense. But then as I was digging into it, I kind of talked about this in the article, I ended up liking a lot of the offense too. So I just like a lot of everything.
Okay, great. Well, you are the man for the job. We've got Kristi as well. She may, she's having some technical issues, might be jumping in a little bit later, helping us out with some tournament takes. But in the meantime, Cheese, you are the man with the plan. You want to start things out a little bit zoomed out, or do you feel like you've already done that?
Let's do pitching, and then we'll kind of zoom out on offense.
I like it. Okay, let's talk about some of these pitchers.
So we have basically 6 aces, and you could even stretch it from that. But I'm trying to narrow down. I guess I am kind of going to zoom out at the same time. There's a lot of pitching and there's a lot of offense. I don't want to play a lot of everything. Like at some point, you got to narrow something down. So I'm narrowing down the pitching side a little more. Scherzer, Cole, and Gausman are, to me, the top 3, which leaves Max Fried, Walker Buehler, and Yu Darvish as kind of the leftover fantastic pitchers. By all means, feel free to play Buehler, Darvish, Fried. I did end up with a little bit of Darvish on DraftKings because of where the salary is. But essentially, they're all in the same price tier on both sites. My favorite guy is Gausman. He's just been so unbelievable this year. I'm calling him my SP1. I mean, I wouldn't argue with you at all if you had Scherzer and or Cole ahead of him. But to me, those are your 3 guys that you really want as much of at least one of them in every lineup as possible. I go Gausman, then Scherzer, then Cole. But, I mean, flip them, mix them, whatever. Those guys are fantastic.
Okay, if you want as much of those guys as humanly possible, does that mean you're stopping there, or no? There's still guys.
No, there's still, because there's a lot of fantastic bats that you could spend on. We have 2 cheap things that are sticking out. The chalky cheap thing is Eduardo Rodriguez, who is right around 7K on both sites. And he's a pretty good pitcher, and he's facing the Orioles. So he's the very easy way to get not goofy and keep your upside. He doesn't have the same ceiling kind of upside as those top pitchers, but points per dollar, he definitely does. Mm-hmm. And on Fanduel, I'm stopping there. I'm stopping at Erod at 7,200. Then DraftKings, it gets interesting yet again with
You
this
going
rookie.
real low? You going real
So
cheap
there's
on
a
me?
rookie named Chase Silseth, who is striking out 37% of guys at Double A. Who knows if that's whoop-de-doo or not? It's Double A. He's a really good prospect, but he's barely pitched at all, even below Double A. But he's facing the A's, and he's 5,500. And his last 3 games at Double A, he struck out 7, 8, and 10 batters. Like, he's not a nobody. It's
Right.
not just that he's this cheap. And there's a lot you can do if you put in a $5,500 pitcher.
And I'm assuming the A's suck, which is why you pointed that out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the perfect landing spot for him.
Right. So it's
So-
almost as if he's against Double A competition.
Right. Yeah.
quite,
It's not,
but-
it's not clear that it's that much
Right.
harder of a matchup. So for me, that's my whole pitching pool. Now you could throw Sonny Gray in on DraftKings, and you could even throw Jordan Lyles in on DraftKings. I think Sonny Gray is somewhat viable at 64, hoping he gets stretched out a little. But basically, Scherzer, Cole, Gaussman, dropped to Eduardo Rodriguez, and then on DraftKings dropped to Silseth, and that's my pool.
Okay. I do want to give a quick little weather warning is a strong word, but there are a couple spots where a delay is possible. It includes Washington and Atlanta. Those are really the 2 spots where I think a delay is, there's going to be a few pop-up storms in both locations. In neither of them do I expect a delay, nor do I think you should fade it. But if you're on the fence between 2 guys and one of them is in one of those games and the other one's not, then maybe lean away from that. Does that make
That
any
is
difference to you?
Darvish versus Fried in Atlanta. So that's like the 4th and 5th ranked pitchers on this slate, who are just short of that top 3 anyway for me.
If I'm being honest, I'd still do it, especially in tournaments. And
Yeah.
I don't really think I'd have a problem in cash, but just know there's going to be 1 or 2 pop-up storms, and 1 or 2 ending up over the ballpark is not out of the question. So just something to keep in mind as you're picking those pitchers. Anything else you want to talk about there pitcher-wise? You did mention a good deal of solid pitchers.
Yeah, I mean, that's it for me. There's more solid pitchers that on some other slates would be fine, but for me, I think you're getting too cute going deeper than that.
Okay, great. Well, then let's go ahead and talk about overall looking at the bats and where we're trying to target, and then we can get into some specific stacks as well.
Yeah, so we do have a Coors Field game with not great teams, but there's some very cheap bats in that game, the Royals and the Rockies. So of course people will like that. My 3 favorite teams that I don't know if they jump out, but they're near the top in team total other than Coors Field is the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Astros. Some of the best teams in baseball. And as far as matchups go, they're among the better ones today. Like there's not a lot of really bad pitching. I also like the Twins a pretty good bit. And of course, they've got that little weather boost if you want that as well. Doesn't hurt anything. Mm-hmm. The Cubs Diamondbacks game is another place you can go for some cheap bats if you don't want to go to the Coors Field. There's going to be some chalk in Coors Field because of the pricing, especially on DraftKings. Well, I like it. I like Yankees, Dodgers, Astros better than the Royals and the Rockies personally.
Okay, great. I think just in time to talk some bats, I think Kristi has joined us. Kristi, you hearing us? Can we hear you?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Looking good. Are you doing this on your phone? Are you pulling one of these like you got to hold? Is your arm going to be sore by the end of the show?
It is. So sorry about that. I'm not sure what's going on. Could not get my computer to work. And so, oh, goodness.
We've all been there. No biggie.
Yes.
Do you want to jump right in and talk about some of your favorite stacks?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was catching in part of Cheese. I think I read his article today. Just kind of listened to you guys talk and got a lot of the same interest. But I would say for me, obviously have interest in the Coors stacks, but I have a lot of interest in the Yankees, a ton of interest in the Dodgers, like Houston quite a bit. And then I have 2 stacks that I think really kind of make it come together, especially if you're trying to pay up on pitching, especially on FanDuel. I think the Giants are a sneaky stack. They always go overlooked. And then Arizona comes together nicely too. So those are a little bit sneakier stacks that I like to pay up or to allow you to get a Gaussman, Scherzer, and then maybe like, Coors Field or Yankees or something like that.
Okay. I like it. If you feel like in between you talking, you need to put your phone down so that you're not, feel free. There will be no judgment over here. Okay. Let's talk about some Cheese. Is there anything you want to add, or do you think we can go position by position?
I think we can hit the positions here.
Excellent. Okay. Well, Kristi, you can lead us off. We like starting at the old catcher position. So what is piquing your interest behind the dish?
Yeah, so I think for catcher tonight, I think there's going to be a few places that carries some certain ownership. I think Salvador Perez is going to be extremely popular tonight. And I think even on Fanduel, where you don't need to play a catcher, I think, there's certainly some merit in using him there at his price. I think he has probably the best chance for a Kansas City player to go yard tonight. So certainly like him on both sides of it. I would also say, just one second here, getting loaded there. I would also say Dalton Varsho, I think is really sneaky. Talked about the Arizona stacks a little bit. He's 4,400 on DraftKings, but a nice price over on FanDuel. So have quite a bit of interest there. Also, I would say I would throw Gary Sanchez in there. Haven't talked about the Twins yet, but I think the Twins are a really good stack tonight too. Sanchez batting 5 in that lineup, so certainly have some interest there. And then, if you're looking for the Coors stacks, he's really priced up, but like Elias Diaz, certainly in the conversation as well. But for me, it's probably Salvador Perez, quite a bit at catcher tonight.
Okay. Cheese, it sounds like there's a lot of good hitters. Usually I feel like we're just play the crappy 2K guy, but maybe not tonight.
Well, because it's Sal Perez and Coors, like he's the one Royals bat that you would want, even if this game wasn't in Coors. It's kind of the thing I always ideally want. And he's the chalk. I agree with the Gary Sanchez thing. He's my favorite pivot off of Perez, and he's a good bit cheaper. The other like direct pivot that no one's going to play is Wilson Contreras. Feel free to mess around with that. You can always do the cheap things too, like Maldonado's fine. Trevino's playing for the Yankees tonight. He's 2,400. But it's actually a decent spend up position, mostly because of Perez.
Okay, great. Cheese, take us to first.
CJ Crone will probably project for the most raw points. I like Freddie Freeman and Pete Alonso just as much as spend ups. I guess the first thing we need to talk about is Carlos Santana on DK. He's back off the IL. He's 2,600 batting cleanup in Coors Field. That's 2,600 on DraftKings. He's not really a standout value on FanDuel, but this is going to be like wild chalk on DraftKings. And I mean, sure, I like him, but I'd much rather spend up if I can at first base. I'm going to throw Christian Walker into the mix, someone I really like in the mid tier. But like Freeman and Alonso in particular, I'm very excited about.
Okay, but if you're trying to save money, it's just Santana, and that's the
yeah. I mean, he's too cheap, and that's on DraftKings. FanDuel, it's not like I would rather play. You can play Max Muncy and Brad Miller at first on FanDuel. Not that you necessarily would, and then Christian Walker is cheaper than Santana, and I prefer him.
Okay, great. Kristi, first base.
I always love it when Cheese is thinking of the same plays. I just think that's great. Great start
Nice.
today. But yeah, CJ Crone, he's probably one of my favorite plays on the slate. So I like spending up there. Like you said, on DraftKings, Santana's going to carry a ton of ownership because of his price, but I like spending up with either CJ Crone or Freddie Freeman. I already mentioned the Arizona stack as well. So I love Christian Walker. He's only 2,400 over on FanDuel. So really like that play. I also like Brad Miller. I think a lot of those Texas bats are cheap, and especially on FanDuel, we'll get to that like with Marcus Semien here shortly. But yeah, kind of the same plays for me, but I'm looking to pay up for CJ Crone and Freddie Freeman the most.
All right. Take us to second base, Kristi.
Yeah, second base for me. So I think Jose Altuve is going to be a pretty popular play today. Houston is obviously a great stack too. We've also got Diaz cracked the lineup for Houston, so he's pretty cheap on both sites. 3,200 on DraftKings, 2,100 on FanDuel. He just coming off of hitting a grand slam, I believe, on Sunday. So interest there. Max Muncy, like him a ton tonight. I think he's, again, in those Dodgers stacks. Don't overlook him. Gleyber Torres is getting a nice batting order tonight for the Yankees, so a lot of interest there as well. Kettle Marte I'll also throw out there. I do like him in the Arizona stacks tonight quite a bit, so definitely don't overlook him as well. And then Marcus Semien on Fanduel at just 2,500. I know he's off to an absolute terrible start this year, but at 2,500, I think he definitely makes some sense. And then there are some Kansas City guys too, like Whit Merrifield, that you can throw in those Kansas stacks as well.
Great. Cheese, what are your thoughts at second?
My primary thought is I love Max Muncy, and he's just priced too low on both sides. Like he's $500 cheaper than Altuve on FanDuel. He's only like 41, I think, on DraftKings. He's a little cheaper than Marte there, who I also like, but like it's all about Max Muncy for me. It's all about Max Muncy. FanDuel's interesting because there's a lot more guys available who are dual position eligible. We throw Baez in the mix, Ryan McMahon at second. You can go a ton of ways on FanDuel, whereas on DraftKings, Muncy and Marte are the main two.
Okay. Was that Muncy some sort of reference that just went right over my head?
No, I'm just trying to get that started. I will tell you this: for two slates in a row, when I originally posted the musings, and then I went back and read it, I had it written as Man Muncy, and spell check doesn't catch that because man is actually a real word, and I'm like,
yeah.
Obviously there's something to that, Max the Man Muncy, but
that Muncy though. Okay, Cheese, take us to third base.
I will do that. Okay, so this is where the sites are pretty different at third because of the pricing. You don't have to bargain hunt on FanDuel. I mean, you can, but like Donaldson's 3,100, Hunter Dozier's 32, Ryan McMahon's 35. There's all kinds of stuff. Whereas on DraftKings, you're spending almost $6,000 for some of these guys like Jose Ramirez or Devers or Bregman. And then you've got Brad Miller's third base eligible for 2,600. And then we got Royals. Bobby Witt's finally priced up, but Emmanuel Rivera is free and batting. He's batting down at seventh, but still that's cheap for a Coors Field bat. And then you can still do Max Muncy at second if you want. The main guy I want to point out, like if you're playing a bunch of lineups, please don't leave him out, is Jose Ramirez. The guy's awesome.
Yes, indeed. Okay, Kristi, third base thoughts.
Yeah, third base, a lot of the same guys. I think Josh Donaldson, especially, really both sides. He's priced well, 3,100 though on FanDuel. Certainly like him there. I do like Ryan McMahon quite a bit. He's 3,500 on FanDuel, so I found him in a lot of my builds. The other one I'll mention too, specific for FanDuel, is Rafael Devers at 3,900. I think he's a great tournament play tonight, and will get overlooked just because there are so many great options at that position. And yeah, Brad Miller, like he had mentioned, is 2,600 on DraftKings. So I think he makes a fine play, batting leadoff over there.
Great. Kristi, let's go to shortstop.
Yeah. So for shortstop, I think there's a few ways to go. I think on FanDuel, Trey Turner is actually one of my favorite plays at shortstop. I think he's a great play. Corey Seager is priced very, very well too. So I would throw him in the mix, especially in those Texas stacks. You can also play Bobby Witt there on FanDuel. So in Javier Baez at 2,900, he's gotten really cheap too on the Detroit side. And he's at 4,200 on DraftKings too. So certainly like him there as well. And then we haven't talked a ton about the Mets, but Francisco Lindor, like Pete Alonso, we both like him tonight at first base. So I think Lindor, if you're paying up, is a great play. But for me, I have found, especially on FanDuel, a lot of Trey Turner in my lineups tonight.
All right. Excellent. Cheese, anything you want to add there at short, or anything you feel very strongly about at the position?
No, those are the names. Turner, Seager, Baez. Those are my main three.
Great. Let's go to the outfield then.
There's a lot of names, but Alvarez tops the list for me, just ahead of Judge and Buxton, and then Tucker and Stanton.
Were you being facetious when you said this guy is close to being the best hitter in baseball? Or
no, not at all. Like you could very, very much argue that he's the number one hitter right now. Okay. So yeah, I'm going Alvarez, then Judge and Buxton, and then Tucker and Stanton. I think the Angels, like they're so pricey. Like don't forget about them. But it's tough. Like even Trout as a one-off doesn't quite match up to like really Judge, Buxton, Alvarez. But they're great. I think Coors Field outfielders won't be as popular as the Coors Field infielders, for whatever that's worth. You need to bargain hunt a little more on DraftKings, probably. FanDuel, I mean, you can go down to like, 2,600 where Gallo and Jordan Luplow, as you say, are, Brad Miller, Cooper Hummel. There's all kinds of cheap stuff, but I would rather spend up to that, like Stanton and Tucker are only 35 and 3,600 on FanDuel. So I like getting up there. DraftKings, you might punt with a couple spots, like a Brad Miller, like a Rafael Ortega. Gallo and Hicks are cheap. And then Daza is leading off for the Rockies on DraftKings. He'll be popular as a cheap guy there.
Right. Kristi, you want to talk about some of your favorite in the outfield?
Yeah, a lot of mine really are the favorites too. I do, Judge and Stanton are certainly two of my favorites, right along with Alvarez. He's one of the hottest hitters right now. Like him a ton. I mean, he's even priced, pretty fairly too over on FanDuel at 3,800. Like that a lot. I like Tucker as well. And he's batting 5 tonight. So I like, getting Tucker and Alvarez. Like Cheese mentioned, you'll see Trout and Ohtani go a little bit possibly overlooked just because they are priced up so much. And then, saving money, I do like Daza for Colorado tonight, batting leadoff, obviously gets a great spot there. Charlie Blackmon and Grichuk, no Connor Joe tonight. So also like those guys. But yeah, for me, I'm trying to pay up as much as I can. And then also throw in Mookie Betts in there too. We talked a lot about the Dodgers, and I think he's one guy that will get a little bit overlooked. And maybe the last guy too is Bellinger, who hit a home run last night. He's kind of played very well against Wheeler, but he also has a good matchup again tonight. And I believe he's batting 6th, if I remember right. So I certainly like a bit of Bellinger too.
Okay, great stuff. Well, it's time for the QQs. We've got 8 minutes or so. Shall we dive into it?
Yes, absolutely.
Jay says, I want to start a new game, and the game is called, and I love this, I think we might start doing this every day. If I only played one lineup, my stack would be fill in the blank. So, Kristi, I will let you go first. If I only played one lineup, my stack would be.
Yeah, for me tonight, it's the Yankees.
Okay. Cheese, if you only played one lineup, your stack would be
Houston.
Okay, excellent stuff. I like that game. We may start running that back.
It's good.
All right, let's dive into these QQs here. DY says DKGPP in a DK single entry. Cheese. Okay, he basically wants the whole damn lineup. An overlooked stack with good upside and your favorite one-off power bat. Cheese.
Yeah, I'll just email you a lineup. No. So, I mean, really, I think the Dodgers are going to count as overlooked. I mean, they're not overlooked. Like anyone's going to list them in their top 5 stacks. But I think when you look at ownership at the end of the night, I think the Dodgers count as overlooked. And the favorite one-off bat is obviously Alvarez.
Okay, great. NBA DFS says FanDuel Cash. Kristi, do you prefer Miller, Stanton, or Scope and Judge? I know Stanton and Judge are your boys. So you got to choose between them here.
That is really tough. You said it was Miller and Judge?
It was Miller, Stanton, or Scope and Judge.
Scope and Judge. Oh boy. I think I'd actually go Miller, Stanton. I like Judge and Stanton. I think they're actually pretty close. So yeah, I'll go the first one.
All right. Let's see. Chinatown, DK Cash, Cheese, Baez, Judge, or Trey Turner and Stanton. Again, people are splitting these two.
Turner, Stanton.
Okay. FanDuel Cash, Kristi, Brad Miller, or my boy Luplow as a last piece straight up.
Straight up. I think I'm actually going to go Luplow.
Excellent. Mark says, hey, Cheese, on DK, Max or Gauss?
I slightly prefer Gaussman, but there is no wrong answer there, and they're the top 2.
Great. Cheese, this is just a comment. I'm just going to read it. You can nod. The Cardinals have been using Naughton as a SP, meaning they have 2 lefties in their bullpen. I'd assume this would lower pinch hit risk for those Giants lefties.
Theoretically, but we've seen them do the thing where even if they could easily project they're only going to see this one lefty, they still kind of do it. I mean, yes, it does, but you just never know there. Okay. To me, if you're stacking the Giants, just play the best bats, and it is the lefties, and then don't worry about it. Just hope it works out.
Okay. Raymond, FanDuel, small GPP, Kristi, last man in, Gallo or Grossman?
Gallo. I like Gallo a lot tonight, actually.
Greatness. Speaking of great, CJ Crone or Yordan Alvarez in FanDuel cash, Cheese?
You might get a different answer from someone else, but it's definitely Alvarez for me.
BHB, DK Cash, Kristi, Muncy Taylor or Rivera Tucker?
Muncy Taylor.
Sit down, son, says the Froyo stack of the day is the Angels. Is that may mean Cheese likes it and I hate it if it's the Froyo stack of the day.
That means sit down, son likes it and he wants some Froyo if it does well.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
That's a great stack just because it's so expensive and it's kind of that they don't even have a lineup out yet. But they have so much upside in that lineup.
Yeah. All right. Kristi, DK Cash, Muncy or Donaldson?
Muncy.
Eric is telling me, and I'm just learning this, that on Wednesday, both the outlaw, Kevin Kiermaier, and Jordan Luplow both went yard on Wednesday. And he said, is that the best day ever? It was the best day ever, and I completely missed it. Didn't even know. FanDuel cash, Cheese, Dozier, Salvi, or Muncy Stanton?
I would play Muncy Stanton.
All right. Kristi, DK single entry, and I'm actually glad to be getting this question to you because we didn't get your thoughts on pitcher. Do you prefer spending up at both SPs? Cheese listed 3 good ones, or do you like one SP and Silseth?
I think it's actually fine to pay down like either with Silseth or Eduardo Rodriguez. So yeah, I like that. I like paying up for one and then getting one on the cheap to get the bats in.
Can you do what I would definitely do and just double pay down, or is that being stupid? Because
I have a couple of those lineups. They're pretty sweet.
It's so fun.
I don't think it's stupid. I really don't, because you do really get all the good bats. And if you're trying to get all the Yankees and maybe some good Dodgers or Coors, it's not stupid.
I want to do an Angel stack because you said they're stupid expensive. I want to do the double cheap SPs.
Well, that's almost the only way to get Ward, Trout, Ohtani.
Right.
And it's really good. I mean, I recommend it.
Sounds fun. All right. Jay, DK. Oh, nope. That's the one we just did. KM, DK Cash, Cheese, Muncy or Merrifield?
Muncy.
Beaner says, Kristi, FanDuel GPP, Ohtani, my boy, or Judge, your boy. I think I know where you're going with this, but who do you prefer?
I do like them both. I do really like Judge though tonight, but I tell you what, Ohtani is an awesome play too. So I'd say Judge, but Ohtani's right there.
Okay. We're going to Falcor. Isn't that the name of
it's almost a type of bird. Almost.
I know what a falcon is. I thought it was the name of from like the song that never ends, or it's boy, I'm getting my references really mixed up. We'll Google it. Falcor says game stack Cleveland at Minnesota, FanDuel single entry with Rodriguez at pitcher and Corey Seager at short.
Kristi, tell us the answer.
And you said you're asking if he wants to do a game stack of those and Eduardo, is that right?
I guess so. He's basically saying, is this okay? Game stack Cleveland, Minnesota, FanDuel single entry with Rodriguez at pitcher and Seager at short.
Yeah, I really like the Minnesota side. Yeah, I mean, I guess, Cleveland would be fine. For me, I'd probably go like Minnesota. If I'm doing Rodriguez, I'd probably do Minnesota and try to get like the Yankees or Houston or Dodgers in there. But yeah, I think that's fine.
I'm proud to announce that after a quick Google, Falcor is indeed the dragon from The Never Ending Story.
Okay, man, that I haven't watched that movie since it came out almost, which is a really long time ago. I remember loving it, but I don't have any idea what it was about. I assume it was
like
long.
5, and I didn't think it was a dragon. I thought it was a dog. So clearly, my memory of it is not great.
I was clear right away. It was not a dog. I was advanced as a child.
All right. I assume lock is now. Is that right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, if you guys have any post lock,
It looks like there's more coming in here. And then I have a question for you.
2v2 Seager Luplau or Torres Stanton?
I would say Torres Stanton.
All right. Okay. Let me get back to these QQs. Can you trust Lyles in a FanDuel GPP cheese to get Judge and Ohtani?
I personally cannot. No.
Okay. All right. With that, we've almost, by the time I say it, it will come across to you. By now, we've hit the lock. There we go. DKGPP, just curious from DY here. Why is Gibson's ceiling higher than Bueller in their matchup?
I don't know. That sounds ridiculous.
That does.
Okay, great.
They're just, yeah, I don't know. I don't use projections, so I don't know.
Okay. I would also like to point out that Give Tebow a Chance in the RG Discord says, Kevin, I thought it was a dog too. And that makes you feel good about Falcor being a weird dragon.
So Kevin, my question is, were you doing what I was doing last night, which is watching Tampa in overtime with a thriller?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That was tremendous hockey.
It was just, playoff hockey in general is incredible. Then you get to an elimination game and they're just out there trying to kill each other to survive. It's so wonderful. It was a great game. We get a game 7, the best thing in sports. That's tomorrow night, I think.
Yeah. Hockey playoff game 7 truly is the best thing that exists in sports.
It's so good. There's just, the intensity is unrivaled. And then I get my Mavs on Sunday in a game 7 against the Suns. Like, it's overwhelming. My head may explode before Monday. Oh, it's good times. Let's see. Achilles says, hey, I was away from baseball for a bit, and Glaber finally shows up. 5 dogs. Is he good? Was he not supposed to be? I don't follow baseball.
Well, I mean, he was really, really cold for a long time. But I mean, he used to be really good, and then like he's been cold for 3 years, and then he heated up again. So
that's a long cold streak.
He had almost 40 homers in 2019, and then hit like single digits the last couple of years. I mean, one of the years was only a few games, but
right.
Last year he hit like 9 homers in like almost a full season.
Okay. All right. We've got one post-lock question that is rather elaborate. Let's see. Can both Kristi and Cheese go over how they go about assessing which lineup goes to which type of tournament, single entry versus multi-tournament? Is ownership the determining factor? I've always played single entry, but now I'm looking to move into 20 maxes. Anyone want to volunteer to their take on this?
Sure. For ownership, like tonight's slate is a good example because it's a 13 game slate. Ownership, I don't pay as much attention to the ownership because I think things are pretty spread out, even though there is a Coors slate. So for me, I just go ahead building it. For the smaller, if there's less games, ownership does matter. And so then, I would have more interest in stacks like the Giants or Arizona, the ones that I talked about tonight that I knew would carry less ownership. But yeah, nights like tonight, I don't pay attention to ownership as much as I would on a small game slate.
Excellent. Okay. Chinatown says, following up on Cheese's throwing darts at children section in today's article, do you prefer the tungsten type, the heavier variety, or the cheap plastic ones when you're throwing darts at children?
That's a good question and an important question. I probably should have brought that up in the article for safety.
Yeah.
Like you don't actually want to hurt the children. Like it's a fun game and they enjoy it. But so you definitely want to throw the cheap plastic ones at the children. And if you have to throw darts at old people, you might go the other way. It depends.
Right. Did you know that? Have you heard of this game, lawn darts? This seems like a thing. Maybe in the Midwest, Kristi, are you?
I've heard people mention it as a thing that exists.
Okay, so it's like there's a hula hoop on the ground. You put it on the ground, laying flat, and then you take this projectile, like this javelin, and you toss it into the air, and it's weighted and it's metal and it impales, and you're trying to impale it in the hula hoop. Kristi, is that a good descriptor of this game?
It is. Yeah, I haven't played, but yeah, that is a good description. Yeah.
So apparently, because I'm weird, I watch all these YouTube videos of people garage hunting. They know it is now illegal to sell metal lawn darts. They used to make them metal, but children started getting impaled by lawn darts because it's a heavy javelin you're throwing in the air. And so now they are all plastic darts, to go back to Cheese saying you don't want to actually impale the kids. Cheese, you just give me some, just nod and be like, okay.
I'm thinking about this. Yes.
Just any acknowledgement.
Yeah. Sorry, I just pulled up the Houston game, and the team I said that's the one stack. It's already 2-0, and they haven't even started.
It's already over. Cheese already won all the money, and it's already over.
Yep, he did.
Apparently Altuve went yard already.
Wow.
All right, let's see. We got one more question, then we got to get out of here. I got 2 screaming children, a dog barking, and an ambulance out front. I'm sure everything's fine.
Someone's playing lawn darts out there.
That's probably it. Fanduel GVP, last question of the day here, and I feel like this is a flip a coin pick 'em, but Cheese, you can go first. Trout, Judge, or Ohtani? Who's your favorite?
Judge.
Kristi, Trout, Judge, or Ohtani?
I'd have to say the same tonight, Judge.
There you go. I will, of course, go with Ohtani, but do not weight mine equally. We do not each get a third of the weight here. They get 90%, I get 10. Okay, that's it. We are going to get on out of here. But before we do, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe. This is free content that FanDuel is helping to provide you with. You should sign up for Rotogrinders Premium. We get the best tools in the biz for you to use, and the smartest and sharpest minds in the biz as well. So with that, I think it's time to get on out of here. For Cheese, for Kristi, and for our wonderful production crew working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.